He's never known family love, but soon he'll find the real thing and fight to protect it. This path will make him a global legend. One victim, S, rushed away on a stretcher, while cops find another drowned in the water. This was his past, lost in a world of endless dreams. Confused and dazed, he feels a blinding pain like his head is about to explode. A woman bathes a kid who's absolutely hating the tub. Mom brings her baby, beaming as she reaches out, but the MC is totally lost. A girl cradles a child by the fire as a man stares into the flames. Our hero wonders, is any of this real? The woman nursing him is his mother, and the man beside him is his father. He thinks he's dreaming, but he can't even force out a word. Suddenly, he remembers walking through his neighborhood store that day. He remembers wasting entire days gaming alone. Friendless and jobless, he wasted his life gaming on his savings. He had no plans to work, but today he finally stepped outside. The loud city and suits felt familiar, but he felt like a total fraud. He spots a kid on the bridge's edge, just as a truck barrels onto the road. A kid trips off the bridge into the water, and our MC sees it all. He hesitated. Helping meant death, but with no regrets and no one to mourn him, he had nothing to lose. He rushes in, saves the girl, and pulls her safely to shore. Freezing cold pierced him, but even half-conscious, he knew this was right. He accepted death and began to drown. The elf kid is stunned. If true, everyone's born with past life memories that eventually fade away. Father names the baby Yuri, but those pointed ears prove it's them. Their lives are unrecognizable now. Who are they and what do they really do? First priority, deal with the diapers. Birds soar past as the boy stares at the empty countryside. No people around, only the cries of the wild. A year later, he's itching to see the world. Boredom's gone, replaced by family time and mastering his first steps. They don't understand yet, but hearing stories helps them learn. Plus, he's curious about their past lives. He remembers who they were, picturing strangers in the street. The boy speaks his first words, stunning his parents, but he still doesn't understand how others see life. His parents share a look and pull him into a hug. The boy wonders, is this love? Behind the house, a shed sits deep in the woods. A boy stares straight into a bucket of water. He stares into the water, sees his past self drowning, and hurls a rock in terror. 3 years later, his soul remains, living on under a new name. Father calls the boy Yuri, holding someone on a leash. Luke House says follow him, he's got something to show. Leashing his bird, the MC asks if they're hitting cacodery. Luke tells his son it's incredible, asking if he wants a look. They blast over the hills on the bird, as the MC stares ahead in shock. They arrive. The man stops to reveal his secret, leaving the hero stunned. He claims the farm. Birds roam the land, with 3 buildings tucked behind the mountain. Walking the bird, Dad asks for Yuri's take. Yuri questions why it's here and if his father built it all alone. Dad claims he built it all from scratch. MC's stunned. It's gotta be a joke, the guy's barely 20. He repeats his question, claiming the animals won't bother neighbors. Since he raises livestock himself, the noise doesn't faze him. Mountains block the wind here. Good thing because wind stunts bird growth. The boy asks if Dad works alone, but he's got a whole crew. Gakudoro grow on hay mixed with millet, nuts, legumes, and grains. Everyone works. They hunt rabbits while herding cattle, but meat is banned to prevent aggression, unless there's a special order. The boy asks about the bird, and the man explains clients want personality, so they raise them on a diet of live mice. The military prizes these. Master them, and you've got a lethal weapon capable of wiping out entire armies. These are war beasts. He'd rather avoid them, but since he's inheriting one, he must master them to stay alive. The man calls his son over to a building marked with 2 birds. Yuri wonders what it means. He unbars the door and tells his son to step inside with confidence. Our MC enters and spots a massive black bird perched on a beam. Dad calls the beast kind, but Yuri's terrified to learn he has to ride it. Dad asks if he remembers the Heavenly Knight's origin, and the boy confirms. He never understood the knight's role. The man whistled and the bird fluttered its wings. She nears the terrified boy, but his father calms him. It's tradition. At age 3, they ride a royal eagle together. With a wink, he brags his dad is the world's top royal eagle rider. Geared up on the eagle, the man warns his son, keep your mouth shut mid-flight. Soaring through the sky, he realizes this is a whole new world, nothing like the view from a cramped tourist plane. The boy wonders about this world, then Dad moves and the bird dives faster. The eagle rockets up, but the boy stays chill. The man notes most kids are too terrified of heights to even ride the royal eagle. He's testing his limits and it's working. Zero fear, he wants this every single day. They soar over forests and hills, stop, and the MC removes his glasses. Watching his father from behind the bird, he weighs his next move. Should he drop down? He's alone again, just like before. The man asks his son what's on his mind, opens his arms, and tells him to jump, promising he'll catch him. MC leaps off the stretcher. His dad catches him, and he realizes this is all new. Mom waves at the son, and MC realizes he wants to live here with them. Sitting at the table, the boy announces he's turning 4 and asks for a fresh notebook. His shocked parents demand to know why he needs it. He demands a thick journal to record his thoughts. He asks his wife about her literacy, but she says she's taught him everything. He agrees. Suzui didn't have much to offer. His mom was an unschooled farm girl who learned everything from her dad. Luke's a noble, but he only reads signs and ads. He still remembers his life in Japan and writes it all down before he forgets. The boy says he's asking too much and to skip his next birthday gift. Mush finally asks for a favor after all his hard work, but the girl is floored by the 5,000 lug price tag. Yuri's clueless about money, but his mom's face says it all. Everything's overpriced. Animal skin books cost a massive 50,000 yen. He nods to his dad, vowing to help mom first before joining the farm work. Grateful and happy, he thanks them both. Flying with his dad, the boy asks about Sibiak, Chalta's capital. They're delivering a royal eagle, and he'll get to pick a book while seeing the city. Still flying, Dad points out the city sprawling below. Flying overhead, Dad warns his son to hold tight. They're about to drop. A pointed-eared man tracks a bird until they land. Dad lowers his son off the bird as a man nearby praises Luke's perfect landing. Spotting Gala, he smiles and waves. Luke delivers the eagle. Gala knows it's a royal order. The bird is stunning, but she hates that they're using a kid. Born in a guarded cage, this eagle is certain he's the world's greatest royal bird. Yala claims she's fine, but eyes the kid. Luke introduces his 1-year-old son, Yuri. MC greets the boy, stoked to meet his friend's kid. Gala strokes his head, calling him grown-up. He's the smartest kid she's seen since the princess was born. Galek notes the massive gap between his 4-year-old son and Luke. Luke tells him to stop the hype. Suddenly, someone asks Galek what's going on. Carol's here. The man's shocked she rushed to see the eagle. Luke checks the cage while Gala asks about permits. He looks dangerous, but help him now, and you've got a best friend for life. Girls stand eyes closed as a uniformed girl walks past. Gala, Luke, and Bo face a little girl with a dead serious look. Carol Furu Chowder wants a clear view and asks if he's Luke Hood. He's honored to meet her, but she knows his TV fame. Gala crushed him, and Gala's right here. Carol asks about the eagle's name, but Luke left it blank so she could name it herself. She wants a ride, but not yet. It just finished a long flight. Those wings need rest. Gala sees the princess as the perfect chance to master riding. Befriend the eagle, treat it well, and it'll return the favor. The girl promises she means no harm. Servant asks for the item. Carol smiles, thanks them, and says she'll treasure it. Yuri asks about Gala, and Luke explains they were Knight Academy classmates. Luke dropped out, but he's certain Yuri will succeed when he eventually enrolls. Inside the store, the man tells his son to pick something out. MC spots the notebooks, asks for a look, and starts scanning the pages. She asks if the book's for the kid. He says yes, he needs it for his thoughts. She says everyone has precious memories they'd never want to forget or lock away. She regrets forgetting her parents' words and recipes, so she insists this purchase is vital, because once he's gone, his child will forget him too. Asked if he's sad, the man stays silent. The boy makes his choice and points right at her. She asks if he's sure. Better to pay more than regret it later. Other options have thicker parchment but fewer pages. He asks if the book is 2,800 lug with change from 3,000. Since the boy knows the price, she offers them a special deal. She's terrified taking the change triggers a demand for ink. Everything's spiraling. Someone wants a bird, but these are the royal stables. State business only. It's a long trek home. You'd have to flag a cart, join a caravan, or drop a fortune on a horse. They'll stop overnight to switch birds, so Yura keeps his gear close. Evening falls as the boy feasts. His dad praises his hard work, acknowledging the long, exhausting journey. No royal eagle means a massive detour home. Yuri realized this because their flight from Yanam was way further south. Dad asks how he saw it. Yuri says the southern hill looked familiar the moment they arrived. The kid knows an eagle can't carry 2 adults, and the man warns it's a suicide mission. They'll definitely fall. Yuri asks if a girl changes things. Only idiots copy these novel tropes, but she presses, what if it's a girl? He's talking about the blonde he met today. Taking a sip, he identifies her as Queen Simona's daughter. He knows that despite her sister, she's the one destined for the throne. A smirking man approaches and teases him about falling in love. He warns the royals are complex. A woman like his mother is a better match, but the man's forgotten how they first met. Night falls, our hero sits at the table, lit only by a single candle. He reflects on secrets only he knows in this world. He logs every story in this book, turning it into his ultimate treasure. This is his strength. Visions of people, planets, and memories shimmer across his skin. He soared off a cliff on a bird. 3 years later, he's 7. Back home, he spots a bird and realizes it's Hakudori. He hears a voice telling someone to go and looks out the window. Dad claims he's exempt since leaving the main house, but the girl reveals Goku's official notice. Luca is being drafted for war. Left with no choice, he stares at the letter while the MC ponders the war. The boy enters and asks if the Hakudori is prepped. The man confirms it's race ready. Today's another rough one. He gears up to meet the family head and say goodbye to an employee. Our hero soars on a bird with 2 others trailing. He asks if they're safe, but Mom reassures him. He's a pro now and the birds are silent. Solo for only the 2nd time, he stays alert. The girl asks if he's nervous as they approach the city. Yuri's new to the main house, invited for the war's opening march in this gloomy city. The boy's glad his dad blocked their deployment. The girl agrees he prefers animals over combat, but letters from the main house still spark dread. Yuri's mind drifts back to the war. War consumes the kingdom of Chalta. Bordering Kurukina on a deep peninsula, both nations are home to the Shan people, though Kurukina's citizens are called Kurukensha. War is spreading, and Kurukina at the heart of the peninsula is about to be dragged in. Northern blood makes the Shani immune to the cold. Their empire, Shantal, fell to the Care and shattered, leaving only Chalta and Kurukina standing today. When Care attacks Kurohina, Chalto sends backup led by the Luca family, elite Hao lineage knights. War erupts. Family head Gaku hits the front lines, while the father is forced to attend the opening ceremony despite refusing to fight. Luckily, the brother understands. He couldn't face his dad leaving for war. The girl says they're here. Korakumo, the Hao family's main city, busy as ever. MC realizes the Hakudori is a night transport, but a woman and child on board look suspicious. A rifle-wielding guard stops the MC and his mom, demanding their names. Dismounting the bird, Yuri introduces himself as Luca's son, here with his mom to visit family and see the troops off to war. A man struggles to recall Luke Gao, but a woman sprints past, tells Suzui they've been waiting and leads them away. Ditching his bird, he scans the armed crowd, expected but still impressive. Goku's hyped to see Suzuya after years. He tells his relative to skip the formalities and asks about Luke, who's currently late delivering an eagle. Luke won't let his wife go alone. The girl reveals their son brought her, and Goku asks the boy if he's Yuri. Yuri confirms, stunned by his mom's power. He confirms Mom can handle Gakudori and the Royal Eagles. She's proud of his Duke-level skills, leaving the man completely stunned. Duki's is a Chinese chess variant with restricted river paths. Luke taught the boy the game, and in just 1 month the student surpassed the master. Before the party, Goku challenges the guy to train. She objects, but he agrees, and Goku tells Suzu to stay put instead of leaving for tea. She agrees, telling Yuri to play a round right here and now. Heading home, the maid has him ditch his shoes. He agrees, and Goku tells him to sit and relax. The kid praises the board, making the man doubt he's a rookie. He's busy, but he wants to start the game now. MC works fast, so the man ditches the timer, lets him go first, and lends him a chest. Yuri's frustrated by the loss, but the man blames bad tactics over inexperience. Since it ended so fast, they dive straight into a rematch. Upset, the boy admits defeat, and the man agrees. Yuri's stunned by the brilliant tactic, wondering if it's a pro move he hasn't seen yet. Sensing the man's insane power, he suddenly bolts up, threatening our MC with a weapon. The blade stops inches from Goku's face, as the man demands to know why he's being so rude. He calls the guy brave. Tonight's gonna be wild. The man offers a marriage, proving this family's traditions are deadlier than the Royal Eagle. He's not marrying a girl he's never seen. Goku warns him, to unlock his full power, he'll have to give everything he's got. Adult parties are a bore, so he's sticking with his daughter. Lantern in hand, the maid leads him through the night. She bids him good night, and he knocks, waiting for an answer. He peeks in and apologizes, spotting a silhouette at the table. Is that her? He enters and calls out for survivors, but the man at the table doesn't budge. He pokes her cheek, making her snap at his rudeness, but Yuuko's just stunned she's still alive. Yuri asks if she's deaf, then wonders if she's mad he distracted her. She says no, she just can't focus today anyway. He asks about her work, but she says he wouldn't get it. Yuri counters that he'll never know unless she explains. She calls it a waste, so Yuri offers to try if she's struggling, telling her to lighten up. She asks if he'll go for her. He snaps, but she wonders if they can multiply infinitely. He links it to two Shan words, essence and repetition, just like prime numbers. Yuri asks if she's stuck on 2, 3, or 5. Furious, she snaps that he'll never understand and kicks him out. He gets it, shocking her. Yuri continues, pick any number n, 2 or greater. Nostalgia hits hard as he imagines being alone with a classmate in an empty classroom by the board. A classmate asks if he knew his dad just got fired. Not real friends, just factory coworkers' kids. Dad calls asking if he cried for his son. MC asks what's happening. The guy S busted for company theft while his dad frames veteran staff to get rid of them. Pressed for details on the loot, he reveals his plan. Find a new girl and work non-stop to dodge alimony. Dad threatened him with nails and metal, a total failure as a businessman and a father. A man reports a theft. Big or small, stealing gets you fired here, and he's demanding the thief be sacked. Drowning in pressure, the boy is silenced by his father. The old man snaps, don't tell me what to do, why pay top dollar for obsolete workers? Suffocating, the MC begs for help. You promise to save him once you're a doctor, while the hero screams his name. MC gasps awake, questioning reality. His past life diary holds the key since Yagata never became a doctor. He looks away and heads downstairs. A noise echoes behind the door. Who's there? He asks. A hooded man named Shun arrives, claiming he's a Hu family servant. MC is stunned he's from the main house, so Yuri rushes to wake his father to open the door. Stoking his fire, a man is stunned when Shen appears and offers to examine his hands and feet. The boy claims he's fine, but Luke warns frostbite isn't his call to make. You can't always feel the damage yourself, and Shunner agrees. The man pulls off the boy's shoe, reassuring him he's safe. Grateful, the boy sets down the food and offers to leave it behind. Shun grabs a hot drink as Luke asks if he's eaten. Shun was too busy earlier, but knows you can't rush through this cold on an empty stomach. Bovarus turns serious and demands answers. Shun reveals Goku died in battle, leaving him completely stunned. Shun recalls Goku charging forward on his gifted royal eagle. Luke Hao already knew, so Goku handled it perfectly and loved it. MC's stunned, Goku fell in battle. His uncle was alive just days ago. Luke grabs him, demanding to know if he's joking. The guy says no, rumor or not, everyone's sure he's dead. No body found. She drops the bowl, apologizes, and bolts for more hot water. Wailing, she asks if her brother's really dead, as the boy rests a hand on her shoulder. He hugs her and invites her to tomorrow's family gathering. She promises she'll be there. The host offers a room and a drink, refusing to let him die too. He hands him a parting gift. Drink this for your brother if things go south on the way home. Inside the Hao family's Kata Kumo mansion, the MC and his father sit in dead silence. He returns with the participant list. Luke scans the names, but something's off. The raccoon's name is missing. He refused to help, so he's off the roster. A coward like him is no knight. They're still knights despite the act, and they're cleared to bring their son-in-law to the meeting. Raccoon Aku's homeland is legendary, gaining fame after taking charge of a massive city on the outskirts. Their absence is weird. Luke understands and thanks them for asking to leave. The man sighs, claiming he has no right to speak. The MC snaps back. You're the grandfather's brother, why are you being silenced? Without a knight title, his family has zero chance. They'll never be allowed to lead. He quit the academy, losing his knighthood. Now he questions the Royal Eagle's attack. He's teaching a new technique, striking enemies from above. Dawn landing is mandatory, but they won't just find enemies. Risking everything, the knights have no choice. If everything fails, we take the general's head, our absolute last resort. The boy's horrified, but the man scoffs. Perfection isn't guaranteed, even if his brother pulled it off. Yuri knows his power and asks if knights even have to participate. It's a choice, not forced. Hosting is a massive honor. A knock, a maid enters, and she leads them to the waiting guests. Luke's stunned when the boy wishes him luck. The kid pulls out a list, revealing Yuiko is also set to leave. Shocked, they chase the maid until she stops at the door and invites them in. 3 men with pointed ears wait at the table. The maid seats them. The hero expected seniors, but he's shocked to find a room full of grandpas and 0 young faces. She seats Yuri in the place of honor, leaving the hero stunned. He bows, greeting Sister Satsuki, but she smiles and tells him to just call her Satsuki. He agrees and tells the boy to say hi. Yuri introduces himself and calls her grandma. Sham praised her, but Yuri insists she's even better. Thrilled, Satsuki invites him to sit. Everyone sat as she thanked them for coming. She thinks they know her husband died a hero in battle. Time to plan, but Shama's missing, and Yuri senses trouble. Her husband provided for the family, leaving us sealed will she reveals to everyone. She decides to look now, shocking everyone as she rips the envelope open. She relays his decree. As Gokuho's 27th head, he names his brother Ruho the next leader. Everyone is stunned, even Cancer. She understands everything and tells him he can live like before. She grabs his shoulder, naming him the leader. Yuri is stunned by the sudden title. Ruho questions his leadership, but the girl says Guk chose him personally, so stand tall. Meanwhile, a man points out Ruho isn't even a knight. Don't worry, the kingdom gave their leader special permission to be titleless at night. Securing the title is easy. The paperwork is ready, he just needs a moment to finalize it. Far from Kurihina, the Hao family's natural stronghold was snatched by the Kure. After years of non-stop war, their exhausted warriors are spent and desperate for backup. He finally gets why only elders attend. They don't want old leaders, it's just that every young person is already dead. Siamese women rule while men fight. She's using the Hoa family to defend the capital. How will this end? He had no clue it was all a setup. He and his dad were played by his grandfather's family, who are always 10 steps ahead. He refuses to make his son a knight or leader. Satsuki argues every boy dreams of it, but the dad snaps. He's only 7 and too young for that responsibility. Even if he's unqualified after the academy, being AI Ma's son-in-law keeps him in the running for manager. He realizes she's planned every move and means business. His father stalls for time, but Yuri knows he'll seize control before graduation. He's trapped with no way out. Is this a real will? How's it settled, dad's word or an elder vote? Option 2, then I'll play the villain. He tells his dad he's testing the tactic. A stranger bursts in, ordering the girl to stay out of it. Everyone is stunned. He snaps, demanding to know how they dared to start the meeting without him. The dark-haired girl announces he's arrived. It's Rakuno, head of the egg family. The name rings a bell. He was the top candidate kicked out of the meetings. Rakuno slams Satsuki for twisting her husband's final wish, but she fires back, calling him a coward who fled the battlefield. The man screams it's a lie, begging them not to listen, but the guy notices the uncle is acting suspicious. He asks about the paper. It's Mr. Hook's will. He grabs it, grinning as he reads. He slams the paper down, telling her it's a total fake. He screams about their treachery and reaches for something real in his pocket. He holds up the real will, stunning the entire crowd. The farewell note asks Raccoon Iku to lead the family, find work, and secure a bright future for everyone. Raccoon asks for her reaction. She can't believe someone like him is part of the family. She snaps at her husband to shut up, demanding to know how he dared issue a forgery. With the leader dead, he quits and drops out of the race. The man stunned, Goku just handed him a personal note. She says a trusted Ross member brought the will, since they once cared for him too. He denies it. Maybe she's gone soft, but where's the proof she wasn't played? Dead silence. Did he bring the fake by mistake? Satsuki is livid. She's fuming and beyond reason, but the raccoon is level-headed enough to argue back. I can't verify these documents, but this setup favors Raccoon. He won't cross the elders and they know it. He's no knight, but compared to Satsuki, MC tells his dad to rest and heads to the bathroom alone, leaving the man stunned. The guy calls for a break, but the sisters' bathroom talk is TMI, even if Satsuki surprisingly agrees. Outside, he asks for a spare room. His shocked dad asks if he just needs the bathroom. The boy tells his dad he lied. They need to talk now. Alone at last, the man asks why they've gathered, while the boy asks if his father is taking the lead. Everything rides on the election. Ruck isn't thrilled, but he'll honor his brother's wish. The wheels don't match, proving one's a fake, but they still can't tell which is which. The raccoon becoming his enemy. This is straight-up political war. Ruck doubts he'll go that far, but Yuri warns him. He's seen this exact pattern before. Dad ruffles his hair, promising to handle it, while the kid begs not to be scolded. He spots a girl, and they're both stunned. She calmly asks why they're there and tells them to move, but Yuri asks for a moment. Yuri walks up to the door guards and reveals he's Ruko's son. Shocked guards demand answers. The boy claims he's there on orders and asks for Raccoon, but the guard says he's out. He's got urgent business. Can it wait until he's back? The seated guard asks about the academy night again, wishing he could go back. Unlike the capital, there's tons of space to train with friends. Peak youth. They definitely hate the MC's dark past. A stranger bursts in, catching them off guard, as the raccoon furiously demands to know what they've done. Guards report they're watching. The raccoon tells them to shut it and asks the guy what happened. The boy admits his dad sent him to uncover Satsuki's secret. A skull in the grass proves death equalizes everyone, and resurrection should be no different. Escaping eternal darkness, our MC starts a new life, remembering his time as a baby. His last memory, a drowning girl and a heavy body. He lived dirty but regrets nothing. His beloved new family helped him bury his dark memories. Gyuko's manager is dead, leaving his father Ruko as the heir. Mid-meeting, the raccoon arrives with a note from the manager. He's next. 2 documents, 1 vote, a political war. The raccoon decides his family's fate, and Yuri refuses to lose them. He demands Satsuki's secret will, and why Ruck didn't show up himself. The kid warns he's a decoy under police watch. The man says quit stalling, but the boy suddenly makes a scene. He hands him an envelope, noting it's the same paper used for Satsumi's will. MC holds the paper to the flames to reveal a hidden message. The man stares in shock as 2 birds manifest on the sheet. Frustrated by the dull colors, the boy shoves the paper into the flames to fix it. It ignites instantly as Yuko screams that it's too hot. He tosses the paper into the fire, glancing back nervously. The guy apologizes, but he brushes it off and asks what it means. He admits the paper holds a secret, and the man instantly snatches it. Transfer the info, continue treatment, find Saruna's statement, and fold the top right corner. He questions the letters. The guy explains his dad isn't a leader, just a regular guy, and Satsuki does the writing. He grabs the sheet, sits, and grins. That's exactly why he sent it. Yuri admits he swiped the paper Satsuki showed him, while the man reads a note to continue treatment. He grins and nods, vowing the MC knows exactly what he's achieved. He thinks winning the vote is the only way to keep his family safe. He confirms the angle and dismisses him. The guy says goodbye and heads out. He's massive and hates acting like a kid. Doesn't he find that strange? My dad would never do that. He doesn't solve problems that way, and he definitely didn't start then. Dad can't find out, but he's exhausted. He's about to crash when a man suddenly appears. He asks where his son's been, the boy asks why he's awake, and Ruck admits he can't sleep while his son is out. MC claims he was nearby, but the man calls his bluff. He knows the area too well for games, forcing MC to apologize and admit he was actually busy. Yuko says he only wanted to help. His dad sits beside him, hand on his shoulder. He tells his son not to worry, he promised to protect him. He asks if the boy doubts him, but the kid denies it. Pressing his forehead to his son's, the father praises his genius but reminds him. To his parents, he's the only thing that matters. He warns his son this is worth more than their lives or any land, demanding he stop taking risks and promise him. He promises his dad, fingers crossed behind his back. Next morning, they meet in the hallway. She greets the crowd, declaring the family head's fate is on the line. Demanding honesty and fairness, it's finally time for the verdict. She knows exactly how to tell the real letter from the fake. Everyone is stunned. She apologizes for the secret, explaining this has happened before, just burn the will to reveal the truth. Sergeant Howe's will returns. They failed yesterday, so now they're using his example to show how this works. You swore they were real. If the trial proves otherwise, you're answering for it. He confidently agrees, so the serious girl decides he's going first. They deliver the will. She shows the raccoon, asking if it's legit and truly his wish. Discussion's over, he's ready to get down to business. The chef steps up, he's nervous but it beats the raccoon's goons. MC knows options are slim. She starts with Saruna's files. After the arson, everything becomes clear. He holds a burning stick to the flames as our hero watches. She gives the word and he touches the stick to the paper. The sheet's blank. The raccoon's shocked, the crowd's stunned, and the MC is just grinning. Satsuki's doc is a total bust. What about Rakuni's? The raccoon spots, fake on the paper, leaving the man stunned. The liar's caught. Ruck's confused, but the MC's plan is perfect. He'd already forged a duplicate note after the raccoon left yesterday. Satsuki waited for him to enter the raccoon's room before gathering the group. They de-rigged everything to expose him as a traitor. Satsuki waited for him to enter. The man snaps up, calling the kid a scoundrel and blaming him for the entire mess. Shocked, the father hears the boy admit yesterday was a lie, but it's all just an act. MC ditched the meeting to prep the liquid. With Satsuki's who seal, he's finally ready. MC asks Rikun if he has something to say, maybe an apology. He snaps it's no fake. A thief broke in yesterday and swapped the papers. Yuri snaps, if you're so sure the will is real, why are you here instead of hunting the thief? The man demands excuses, slamming his fist on the table. He freezes, vowing he'll never forgive him. He tried to eliminate Hook, ready to get his hands bloody. The plan failed, but he's still pushing forward over a pile of bodies. If he leads, the family is doomed. Only his father deserves the throne. Yuri admits the audacious boy defeated him. The man yells his son's name, demanding he stop. MC apologizes to his stunned father, but sudden clapping interrupts. It's a girl. She tells the raccoon it's time for the verdict. Any last words? She orders, hands up for Ruka as leader, every single one of you. They name Gukko's younger brother, Ruko, the official successor. Guards swarm. The girl orders Rakun's arrest, but he stands his ground and denies everything. A guard grabs the man's shoulder to take him away, but he suddenly screams. Raccoon whips out a hidden dagger and slashes the guard. Blood sprays from the guard's throat. The man turns to our hero, promising death. Rokunusen stared in disbelief, stunned they actually dared to strike. The terrified man calls out, but he's hiding a secret. Panicked, someone screamed for security. He watched, stunned by how it all fell apart. His dad promised to protect him, so he's got nothing to fear. Hiro tells Satsuki to back off and watch Yuri. He noticed his posture shift. He needs to freeze the enemy. Rakuenia gets the plan, but he's pushed to his limit. He claims he's a simple farmer who's never seen a battlefield. He realizes this guy is a beast. He's still breathing. Handle him with care and move him out. Dad calms Yuri, asking if he's scared. Yuri says he's fine. The girl thanks him for the wonderful time, admitting they never expected this. The boy points to the ruined sleeve. Dad jokes mom's gonna be busy and tells him to hide the damage. He remembers it didn't matter back then. He flashes back, wondering what could have been, but stops mid-thought. The man tells Yuri to take it slow and not force the food. Yuri agrees. 18 years pass, and she asks the master why he hates fighting. Hating violence, the hero ditched knighthood to forge a new path. She reminds him of their meeting about the middle, questioning his plan to knight Yuri, while he asks if she's taking the lead. She admits it's wrong and vows to stay hidden. She makes him promise to write if anything happens, and he agrees. The maid clears the dishes, as Yuri wishes everyone a good rest. The kid invites the hero to watch the stars together. Shocked, he asks about the stars again. The boy's hyped to leave now, and they ask if he's in. Hero asks permission, but mom says finish eating first. You ask his dad for the green light. He agrees with a smile, but the hero knows he's plotting something again. The heroes are ordered to stay inside the mansion, no leaving. The research pinpoints the ultimate lookout. He's shocked he's never heard of this place before. She reveals her secret spot, admitting she knows nothing about stars. The hero agrees. The sky's beauty always soothes the soul. These stars look just like the Milky Way, proving this world has a galaxy. Since the people are normal, there's still hope. She asks if he's listening, then explains the third star is Murara. Yuri suspects she means a satellite. Do locals even understand the sky? This star is rare, one of only 5 left. She asks about the sign, but he's more interested in those 5 stars. Winter's arriving, split by seasonal signs. She points to the stars, bull, lyre, cat, and dipper. Our hero reflects and realizes he's completely clueless. He recognizes it, Ursa Major. He spots Orion right under the bull. If this is an eye sky, the stars should be different. He scans the strange sky, wondering if his home constellations could even exist in another world. He suspects he's still on Earth and needs to find out why. She finishes, asking if he remembers. Yura mutters to himself, lost in thought, as the girl asks if he's fallen asleep. He bails with a weak excuse, calling it quits. She sighs, knowing he hated it. Yuri loved it, but suddenly remembers something to check, promising he won't run next time. She nods and starts to ask for a talk later, but trails off. Smiling, she wonders what he's thinking. He apologizes to Setsuki and asks to see the map. She asks about the map again, but it's nowhere in Ruck. Yuri says if the chance arises, they need a detailed map of the territory's borders. Satsuki IDs the massive map as late Empire and pushes to retrieve it. Haunted by restless thoughts, he remembers Kelta was once the Shantira Empire, a nation that fell 900 years ago, yet its borders remain unchanged. He checks the map. She shields her eyes, complaining it's still way too bright. Satsuki scans with her flashlight. The map's gotta be here. She points out their location, and the MC realizes the map looks exactly like Scandinavia. He deciphers the map's weird borders, tracing the Shantira Empire from the Urals to Scandinavia and Ukraine, pinpointing Shantinia on the Crimean Peninsula. MC's stunned. This is Earth. How did he miss that for 7 whole years? The map is wrong. The real center is further east. She points Yuri to her husband's office for a better one, and he asks to see it. He stares at the endless books, recalling his past doubts. She tells him living here means unlimited reading. Satsuki sits him down, but he's stunned by the map. This is the kingdom of Celta. Yuri spots a detailed map marking Kurikina, Shibuyaku, Weldon, and Karakumo. She points to the map. Grandpa Huck fought here. He asks Satsuki to fake a proposal tomorrow. She asks if he's really falling for the trap, warning that going alone is suicide. Yuri asks if she can win by doing nothing. She smiles, admitting she can't, but with their allies, they've got nothing to worry about. The hero stares her down. What's the point of this victory? She questions him, snapping that leadership isn't about doing whatever you want. He asks if he can keep Rakunia after the victory. If Rakuna returns, he'll target her, and he won't care if Eku's family is sent abroad. He asks if she thinks he's an easy target, claiming only a massive blow can drop him, and wonders if the feudal lords will help. She admits she's clueless, asking if they're panicking too soon. The boss vows to sabotage her every move, mocks her family's potential, and dares her to survive the next 10 years. Satsuki fears exposure will make things worse, so she apologizes and refuses to join. Yuri stares her down, asking if she doubts him. She says yes, he's still just a kid. The hero eyes her. Something's off right. He reminds her she already got the invitation to leave him with the family. Trust Grandpa Guck, or she'll never hear the end of the story. Shocked, Yuri asks why she's still honoring her dead husband's request. She apologizes for spacing out. The boy thanks Satsumi, who smiles, happy to help. She eyes Yuri, who, intrigued by the unusual kid. Just as he predicted, everything turned out perfect. Yuri tells Satsuki it's all on her now and wishes her good night. She wishes him sweet dreams, wondering what Hook saw in the boy. Morning hits. Servants enter Yuri's room with fresh clothes and a greeting. Yuri thanks them for the clothes. Soyam-sama is waiting. Shocked, he promises to hurry, still not used to all the attention. 3 years since his dad became manager and they moved. 10-year-old his life is unrecognizable. He thinks the hard workers around him are glad he's there. Yuri's life has done a total 180. He's pampered now, a far cry from his past, as servants greet him with joy. He remembers his dad training every night after working all day. Dad left Yuri in charge, only visiting on weekends. The girl asks if class is starting, and he confirms. She shows off her food haul and offers to share. Yuri thanks her, waiting eagerly. That good luck wish proves his mom hasn't changed at all. He steps inside and gets instantly ambushed. He dodges the blow, his insane reflexes catching the attacker's eye. His teacher says the training stays the same. Coach cheers as he pushes forward. Yuri wipes out in training, and a man mocks him, saying even the hospital will laugh at his pathetic pace. Imkao warns him to know his limits, while the hero masters new skills for Satsuki. Salim's 90 and a legendary coach, but he's still haunted by the son and grandson he lost to the war. Missing that second spear meant game over. He's stunned the coaches this old. Enough talk, the man orders Yuri to attack. Yuri nods and readies the assault. She asks if her lesson is that boring. Exhausted, our MC fights to stay awake, but he's dying to crash after a morning of studying and eating. Teacher points to the board, reminding them, don't forget the flashlights and winter snow. He struggles to understand, as strange visions flash through his mind. She explains the grammar. I'm the subject, the verb is present tense, and the object changes with the situation, from people and land to the royal family. Satsuki teaches Yuri ancient Shan, but the illogical rules and missing objects make him doubt if it's even worth learning. He thinks it's just an old language, not a spell, but Satsuki reveals only the chosen can speak it. She claims the language is vital for the classics and wonders, while Yuri's struggling to learn it. She orders him to listen, vowing to help him read every book. Yuri watches her, nervous at her intensity. Satsuki calls him uneducated for not knowing the language, scolding him to write, memorize, and stop sighing. Yuri wonders when the agony ends, desperate for a way to finally heal his soul. He steps in and spots a girl. He wonders how soft her cheeks are and asks what she's thinking. Startled, she shouts his name and answers. She mastered Kepler's laws and uses them to explain everything. She couldn't crack the model before, but now she's shocked by how simple it is. Yura asks again, what model is it? She explains the moon orbits Earth, the sun is a second moon, and planets like Saturn orbit the sun. Confusing, but it explains everything. She finally understands everything thanks to Kepler's law, and Yuri's thrilled for her. He wonders why she loves such trivial things. Did he ever have that spark? No. He leads Charm outside to show him something interesting. Winter's here and Yuri sounds just like his dad. He wonders if he's acting old, assigns her a task, and asks why it's so freezing. She asks if it's the north or pressure, but he reveals sunny days are the same everywhere. The real clue is the sun's height above the horizon. Yuri explains heat depends on surface area. Like a stove, vertical hands burn, but horizontal ones stay cool. Lower sun makes the surface smoother and colder, just like hands. Surprised and intrigued, she's now more curious than ever. Next question, why do trees shed their leaves? Trees shed leaves to survive the freeze. Even if they rarely hold on during a mild winter, they're still doomed. Down south, heat-loving insects feast year-round and must be stopped. Sham's curiosity reminds him of a daughter he could have had, turning him into a doting grandpa. Staring at the trees, the hero wishes these days would never end. At dinner, Yuri asks if his dad's exhausted while his wife tells him to delegate the work. The boy asks his mom if she's adjusted to their new life. Yuri's mom felt awkward at first, but she's bonded with everyone and even scored a garden plot. She's doing great now. He's glad his mom's a farmer, not a soldier. Mrs. Suzia handles the meetings, so everything should be fine, but he's still worried. Dad knew it'd be tough, but not this exhausting. The boy says he can rest tomorrow. A plague is sweeping the south, and a stunned Yuri double-checks. He's changing tomorrow's plans. It's all about the smallpox plague. Yuri knows this curse is a death sentence. He won't let his father walk into that danger zone without scientific backup. The hero objects, but his dad has no choice. People are lost, and as owner he must push forward. Miracles don't happen by waiting. Dad mocks Yuri's constant worrying. Yuri asks what if he gets sick, but Dad laughs off the risk. Yuri's down to go if infection isn't easy. He asks his dad for the truth. Mom says he's too small to join Dad, but Yuri insists on seeing the world for himself. Dad agrees but demands total obedience. The boy accepts. Yuri hands his father the fabric, but the man demands to know why. He says to cover your nose and mouth with a cloth to stop the infection. Dad worries about the manager's reputation, but the son snaps back. If you get sick, everyone suffers. Everything's moving too fast, and they've got zero meds or supplies. He wonders why tragedy shattered their peace, but the MC knows the truth. Everyone thinks they're cursed. He explains pox is an ancient cura name. Ignorant of viruses, the people can only pray to God. The sick are gathered here, tended by the healthy. Yuri's dad heads inside and orders the door shut. Yuri stares in horror. It's even worse than he imagined. The boy warns his dad, don't touch anything or anyone sick. Dad nods, understanding the stakes. The patient groans for water. Our hero tells him to wait and promises to be right back. Son drags him toward the exit, but he stops. The sick need water. Yuri demands the door open. Everyone stares in shock. Dad's shocked, but Yuri screams for him to leave before he catches the infection too. He thinks his son is overreacting and claims he's got it all figured out. Smallpox is a lethal virus that rapidly shreds your internal organs. Pus spreads the plague. Bursting blisters contaminate everything, making their gear lethal, but the father insists on helping the hero save them. First, gather the people and prep food, water, and clothes. Yuri warns that saving these 100 now will backfire, infecting 1,000 more. Everyone's questioning him. What does here mean? Is he really abandoning them? Outraged, they ask if he expects them to just watch their family suffer in silence. Dad apologizes and tells everyone to stay calm. He's not going anywhere. Someone in the crowd demands a reveal. Bodies pile up too fast to bury. Yuri's dad mistook the smoke for a signal, but it was just the fires. The crowd's outraged he brought a helpless child, but he begs for help. His ancient world is dying. Yuri knows he shook them, but they don't realize the world is at stake. He knows he's just a kid with no voice, but if they follow his father, the virus will consume the country. He weighs his village, territory, country, and family on a scale, forced to choose. Yuri apologizes and begs his father to hear him out. Dad gets it. One last time he lets his son speak. The boy knows exactly how to save the residents. He's shocked why visit the farm for cows. The farmers are safe and the herd is right here. He thought so too. Was it just a coincidence? He's already immune thanks to milking cows. He points at the udder and calls it chicken pox. It's like smallpox, but cows survive and it's harmless to humans. Since most people have already been exposed, they'll recover easily. Dad asks why they survived. Yuri explains they're immune. Japan once used cowpox to stop smallpox, and now they're using that same method to create a new vaccine. His plan, scratch cowpox into the arm with a needle. If it works, they're immune to smallpox. Dad's never heard of this treatment and doubts Yuri's sources, but Yuri gets the skepticism. He pauses. Fine, let's try, I believe in you. He thanks his father. 4 days pass. Yuri and his dad are vaccinated, so they're safe even if they get sick. They vaccinated the healthy, isolated the village, and wiped out the virus. His plan worked. Drenched in alcohol, the duo quickly wraps their clothes to insulate. Yuri's grateful his dad trusted him through the worst. That faith means everything. Can his past life knowledge actually protect those he loves? He wonders what happens if he's cornered. Months later, the capital is already reporting it. The boy hesitates, questioning if they really need to tag along. Dad calls it a simple intro, but Mom won't miss the big day. He says not to worry. Everyone's bringing their parents, and she adds they'll back him up. Yuri's giving it a shot. Dad thinks some of these boys are future friends. He knows a new chapter begins. He thinks the rookie is joining the Night Watch Academy. Yuri confirms this is Night Watch Academy, wondering who these two subjects are. Dad explains the Night Academy and Humanities School are both just called school. Boys become knights at the academy while girls attend the School of Humanity, but he's cut off before he can finish. Dad says this uni trains public servants, making it a hotspot for witches. Shocked, Yuri demands to know what's going on with the witches. Dad explains these are royal civil servants trained at a humanitarian school. Most are wealthy, but Satsuki is an exception. The Academy of Chivalry teaches war, and the knight title is your diploma. Without it, you aren't a knight and can't step onto the battlefield. Mostly knight kids attend, but girls join too, aiming for a shot at becoming royal knights. Yuri's dad gives him the choice. Walk away now or pick his own path, promising his parents will always have his back. Yuiko wants the lazy route, but his dad's sure he'll pull it off. Seeing everyone stare at his father, the new Who family head, he asks what's wrong, realizing that without his niche title, rumors will fly. He knows trouble's coming and he's on edge. Yuri's parents wish him luck before being ushered to a waiting room as he's led away. Yuri enters the hall, his parents rushing to his side, worried sick. They let him through and he thanks them. He bursts in and panics. The test has already started. MCC students turning in work with answers exposed. He's shocked, no synchronized start and 0 time limits. Teacher tells him to sit while he preps. Yuri agrees. Shocked, the boy must write on a tree to name the country. Its neighbor, solve a puzzle, map directions, name the queen, explain Shiro's motive, and link Kuro, Shiro, and O. Yuri's stunned. These tasks are way too easy. Why did he waste 3 years training with Satsuki? He's finished. The teacher inspects his work. Teacher sends Yuri to the maximum room. He wonders, another survey, and what does maximum even mean? Teacher moves the exam to a different room, shocking Yuri. He gets the game. First a quick skill check, then the real test begins. Everything finally clicked. Primary school doesn't exist here, attracting everyone from ancient scholars to total beginners. This test reveals their true levels, finally explaining why his father stayed silent. Yuri notices few max the test, realizing the Chivalry Academy clearly doesn't value this knowledge. The boy waits for the action to start. The teacher bursts in, apologizing for the delay. The real test starts now. She asks to sit. Yuri agrees. Her blonde hair is unusual. Carolina from the castle was blonde too. Could it be her? Teacher hands out the papers. Time's up when the hourglass runs dry. Yuri eyes the hourglass, wondering what it's for. Even he's baffled by the tasks. Military jargon, night tactics, math, and history. He knows these tasks aren't for a 10-year-old. Now he gets it all. The hero finds 0 ancient Shan tasks here. Yuri mumbles in an ancient tongue until the teacher snaps at him to speak up. If this isn't on the test, he definitely overstudied. He finally understood why Satsuki taught him that language, but it was useless now. Time to finish the job fast. He's finished with time to spare and asks if he can turn it in early or if it's against the rules. Teacher says no, but there's no turning back. The boy confirms it went perfectly. He announces he's leaving the girl stunned. Her father asks if this is Hera's limit. He claims he's also a spear master. Yuri asks his dad what he's up to. He laughs, claiming he got distracted, and it's been way too long. He agrees it's been a while, glad to see them since their last meeting at the castle. He asks how the exam went with an hour left. Yuri says he did okay, but isn't sure it's his best. Harasen's meeting his son soon to befriend him, but warns the kid's a troublemaker and tells Yuri to watch him. Yuri asks for the name. He calls himself Dora Godwin. Our MC prays he didn't inherit those looks, or things are looking bleak. You tell Dad it's time to go. The crab asks if he must, but the boy says it's over and Mom's pissed. Thinking she's alone, the woman grabs a drink. The man agrees with Yuri it's time to go. The event kicks off tomorrow. The husband says the roads changed since yesterday. Dad confirms the castle ceremony. The boy asks if the queen will be there and Dad says yes, it's a massive event. The man asks why he's sighing, surprised he doesn't like it. Yuri refuses to leave his family and expects zero friends. Dad says making friends is easy since he's already close with Shem. She fires back that she's the exception. Mom's in tears saying she won't see him for a long time. Yuiko's stunned. Hands confused, this isn't a final goodbye. Son vows to return home the first chance he gets. Mom double-checks and Yuri confirms it's the truth. He finally calmed his mom for the first time. He can't fail them now, he has to push even harder. He never saw her slap coming. The opening ceremony is starting now. We're at the royal castle. Yuri hits the Night Academy ceremony with his family. Nervous, he confirms he's from the house family. The woman asks for a word with Yuri's father. He agrees. Yuri's mom is shocked the focus shifted to her son, and the man confirms it. His father orders him to follow the woman to his destination. Yuri asks what happened, but Dad says it's fine. They need to move now. He got it. She claims she brought him, but Yuri senses a dark omen as they lead him away. They're calling him in. The boy asks if he's Yuri Go, and the man confirms it. She tells him to sit. MC spots Carol, wondering what's next and why he's even here. Meet the directors. She runs Isabeau Marmoset Humanitarian School, and Ella Barrow Rube heads the Night Science Academy. Yuri recognizes the names. Marmosa leads the 7 witch families, while the Rubs are a fellow Night family serving as the nation's elite military border guards. He recalls Satsuki's family ties, noticing Carol's gone dead silent. Isabelle names Carol and Yuri class reps to present the students to the queen. Stunned, the MC asks again if he's really the lead. She warns him about a quick rehearsal with tons to memorize. He asks if he's the second student after Carol. The director names Yuri as chivalry's elder and Carol for the School of Humanity. He warns him to only speak with permission. Shocked, the guy asks, didn't she take the Night Watch Academy exam? She's done, time for rehearsal. Teacher orders them to memorize her phrases before practicing. It's a massive task, and he knows it. He laid out the steps. Rise, bow, approach with Carol, bow again, take the oath, kiss the queen's hand, and return with a final bow. Yuri's stunned Carol remembered everything so fast. Why is she smiling? Outraged by the impossible pace, he demands to start training even as he falls ill. He's already exhausted before the ceremony even starts. Carol tells him he's completely invisible. Yuri stunned, she jumps straight to insults. He asks what he did, but she snaps at his manners. Furious, his high grades make her look like a fool. Realizing they share a room, he asks why she joined the Night Academy. Carol's graduating from 2 schools at once. Yuri gets it. She regrets the exams and can't represent the academy. He didn't know that was possible, but wishes her luck. The hero never wanted to leave. He would have rejected the oath if he could. Carol snaps, asking if he even has a conscience. She calls him a total moron. He's stunned, totally clueless about her reaction. Slapped on admission day? Bad omen. Yuri's dad would laugh his head off, and now this guy's asking if he's even the same Yuri. Mayor Rogenville greets Yuri and asks about his cheek. Yuri, who introduces himself, wondering how the boy already knows his name. The man claims his life is wild, but the hero insists he's just ordinary. Myro says ordinary people can't be representatives. He remembered the slap, realizing he'd crushed her pride. MC uses past life cheats while feeling unworthy of her effort. No wonder she's mad. He needs to see things from her perspective. Smarts don't guarantee success, and wisdom doesn't make you outstanding. Miara Gudenville agrees, but they still don't know a thing. He agrees, saying their whole future is still ahead of them. He demands silence. The opening ceremony starts now. He signals the start, and the reps take the oath. Ira's parents watch him, his mom beaming at how much he's grown. The father claims he's their son. Queen takes her throne for the oath. Taking the oath, Yuri's waited a lifetime for this moment. No stress, just keep it smooth. If he slips up, he'll just improvise. He vows to study hard and goes silent. Carol takes over, promising to stay by his side, but she trails off. He's shocked, but she stays silent. He's stunned, thinking Carol forgot the lyrics. She's talking support, then goes silent. Yuri realizes she forgot her speech. He wonders why she's making that face. She still remembers trying to hurt him. Carol breaks down, stunning Yuri. He recalls her message and reminds her. She agrees, vowing to study hard. Yuri thinks he fixed it, but he never finished that sentence. Mayaro calmly mentions Yuri and invites him to lunch, but he declines to keep a promise to his family. The boy calls it a pity as a voice shouts a name. The girl calls Yuri. He asks for a moment to say goodbye, and Carol agrees. MC apologizes and heads out, saying it was nice meeting. Mayara agrees and wishes him luck. Carol drags him along, but he tells her to stop. He gets the point. Yura's clueless and demands answers, but the girl just bursts into tears. She's bitter about losing, blaming her defeat on a single phrase he triggered. Stunned, he realizes she meant shame. He thinks she's competing because of her lower score, even though he knows she's actually more talented. Pero wants to thank him. He asks if that's why she called. She finishes her speech and thanks him. She has said her piece. Yura begs her to stay. He claims he didn't mean to hurt her and admits he treated her like trash. She's livid he lacks honor, calling it a disgrace for a future ruler to lose to a guy like him. He thinks rulers deserve loyalty and shouldn't punch down. To him, leaders must be superior, but Yuri doesn't get her. Her only motive, she simply refuses to lose. She calls him a scoundrel and vows to be worse. He doesn't care about the exams and dares her to try. Why does he say she'll never beat him? He won't try anything. Her resistance is just a hassle for him. He'll find a way past this. She screams, calling him a senseless idiot, and instantly regretting her thanks. She refuses to back down. He vows he'll never lose. He's over the trouble this ceremony caused. Next morning at the How House, GM asks if Yuri is really leaving. She'll miss him, but he promises a reunion. Chumneva says Earth and the Moon look close, and next year she starts school. The boy gives her a mission. She says as long as she's thinking, she'll never be lonely. The girl promises. Shem stands by. He's packed but can't carry it all. Now he needs a place to stash the gear. He says no one will steal it. Then my arrow streaks toward him, calling his name. The man notes Yuri's lost in thought. Hero greets Mayaro, clueless about registration or his gear. Mayaro explains luggage should have been sent early and offers a guide, leaving Yuri stunned. The boy helps carry the load while the man fears for his father. The shipment never arrived. The arrow points to the hostel. Yuri thanks him and moves out. Hero checks in. The boy's struggling. Girl calls the next group. He's Yuri who? His number S on the second floor, and he's told to use the storage room safe. Myro's got a spare room. MC calls him lucky. They're neighbors. He thanks him, grateful for the massive help. This dorm is for newcomers only. The boys hype for their 15-year stay, and Yuri agrees. Our MC thinks Mayaro, Judenville, heir to a great witch family, is a good guy and is sure they'll be friends. Yuri greets his roommate and introduces himself, baffled by the guy's sudden aggression. They greet him warmly. He claims he didn't hear. Silence gripped the room, heavy with hype and uncertainty. The neighbor snaps his fingers, breaking the silence and grabbing the newcomer's focus. Yuri scowled, eyeing his neighbor and wondering who this rude punk really was. He grabs his gear and heads to his locker, name carved on the door, the mark of a fresh start. He dodged the new neighbor entirely, keeping his distance to guard his independence and protect his personal space. Annoyed by the kid's constant staring, he wondered how much longer this creepy observation would last. Mario was different. Yuri felt fate was finally pushing him in the right direction. He heads out to scout the dorms and master his new environment fast. 3 Japanese diaries in his bag, too risky. He locks the finished ones away to avoid suspicion. He shuts the cabinet and locks it tight, securing his gear. He calmly heads to his bed as his neighbor tracks his every move, trying to figure out his plan. He grabs a table and sets his diary and ink, ready to log every detail from the past few days. The neighbor's sharp voice shatters the silence, grilling the boy with clear, intense interest in what happened. He demands to know who let them take the table, making it clear he has zero tolerance for rule breakers. Yuri glared at his neighbor, wondering what triggered that sudden, sharp attack. Only 2 tables in the room and one's already taken. He asks for the free spot and gets the okay. There's a catch. The neighbor must approve the furniture, forcing them to coordinate every move and take full responsibility. Yuri froze in shock and shame. Leaving his gear just turned into begging the boss for permission every step of the way. The boy asks for his name, but the simple question ruins the vibe. Yuri admits he mistook him for a noble and asks him to quiet down to avoid a scene. The neighbor warns, even the highest rank doesn't put you above the dorm rules. Yuri chose his words carefully to keep the peace with the annoying brat. He brought in a third party to force a compromise so they could finally live together in peace. The neighbor's silence enrages Yuri. He's fed up with everyone ignoring the problem and dodging a fix. Dora Godwin introduces herself, instantly asserting her status and keeping her distance. Yuri realizes Garagodvin's son is standing right in front of him. Excitement and dread hit him at once. He knew this guy was evil, but living next door for 15 years? That's insane. He nervously explains his link to the father, testing if Dory knows the secret to gauge the potential fallout. The neighbor thinks the father's praise just boosted the kid's ego, but Yuri fires back. It's actually the opposite, and he has no clue what nightmare he. Dora slams the ink off the table, calls him a nerd, and tells him to stop acting so superior. He shouts that this place is for knights ready to die for their country, and he's here to learn how. Forget pens and paper. To crush the enemy, he only needs a spear, sword, shield, and raw strength. Yuri's high scores didn't matter. He saw those wins as worthless and refused to acknowledge Yuri as an equal. He demanded his rivals speak up or just admit he's too scared and ashamed to fight. Wait, no. Seething with rage, he snatched the book off the table, unaware he just grabbed a forbidden secret. Wait, something. Yuri is stunned by the audacity as everything spirals out of control and takes a wild new turn. Dora smirked, claiming the book was for study, but she was instantly snapped at and told to never touch it again. Shocked by the guest's nerve, the neighbor screamed, demanding to know who he thought he was. Yuri desperately begs for the book back, claiming it's his most precious treasure. Dora stared in shock, wondering how he could lead without the spine to back it up. The boy slammed the valuable book onto the floor, ignoring Yuri's feelings. He ruthlessly stomps the book, shredding the rare manuscript into a pile of scrap. Yuri choked back his rage, watching helplessly as his precious artifact was destroyed. Panic and rage consume him as 10 years of knowledge vanishes with that book, his literal soul. Yuri mocks Dora, asking if he looks like a dog that can't understand words. He dares him to attack if he's just a barking mutt, and Dora lunges instantly. The kid blocks the strike, disarms the neighbor in one move, and stands his ground. With one swift move, he slams his opponent to the floor, the mounting tension mirroring their inner struggle. Enraged, Yuri pummels Dora against the walls, trying to smash her back into the stone. Dora stands frozen, shocked that a quiet student just transformed into a true fighter. Blinded by rage, Yuri unleashed a brutal storm of kicks, venting his fury and escalating the fight to a dangerous extreme. He crushed Dora with agony and shame, delivering a brutal sentence that left him broken in body and spirit. Yuri freezes, halting his deadly barrage as he regains focus and control. Staring down his beaten enemy, he asked if he'd picked this fight on purpose, knowing the risks. Sensing danger, Dora snaps, calls the rookie a fool, and demands he stop trashing his reputation. Blinded by rage, Yuri ignored the warnings and landed another blow, making everything worse. Glaring down, he cuts the excuses and demands the truth. Did he start this fight? Dora gritted her teeth, admitting he was right. He started the fight, and she was just too weak. Yuri smashes his face again, demanding to know what ready meant. He warned him the book was vital. Now he wants a straight, polite answer. Dora admits his guilt again. Yuri glares at his beaten foe, asking if he can end the duel with a kill. Battered and mentally drained, Dora finally collapses. A quiet knock sounds. Yuri forgets the chaos and swings the door open to find his mentor arriving right on time. A tragic scene unfolds. The boy lies pale and filthy, clothes soaked in blood and face drained by exhaustion. Panicked, the teacher rushes over, urging the kid to focus and pull it together. Panicked, she sent a student to the infirmary to fetch a doctor for the victim. Yuri calms her, explaining Dora just fainted. Moving her makes it worse, so they wait for the doctor. The teacher glares at the teen, demanding to know what sparked the fight. Yuri claims he wasn't the aggressor. Dora struck first, forcing him to fight back in self-defense. She demanded more info, but he stood firm. He'd already said his piece. The teacher scanned his face, but saw zero regret or inner turmoil. Yuri knew the mentor had to face the guilt, own her failure, and fix the mess she caused. He reveals she rigged the room assignments, sending him into a room with a vicious, deadly dog. The dog lunged at him, and if he hadn't fought back, he wouldn't have survived. The boy felt zero guilt, rejecting his mentor's forced attempt to shift the blame. Everything postponed. The teacher orders him home to tell his parents everything. Yuri stuffs his bag, ditches the tension, and bolts out of the room. He heads for the exit, but Mayaro pulls him back for a serious talk and some vital advice. His friend spots the blood and tells him to clean up. He can't show up looking like he just fought. Yuri apologizes for the trouble, insisting it's no big deal and won't change their plans. The students hit the water to scrub away the evidence and regain their cool. Mayaro gently washed the grime and battles scars from his friend's hands. After just a few days, Yuri's devastated they're forced apart, leaving him anxious and incomplete. He couldn't believe he was getting expelled for something so stupid and blatantly unfair. Myrtle brushed off the expulsion, insisting a petty fight wouldn't ruin them and everything would be fine. Yuri agreed, his friend's optimism finally letting him relax after a brutal day. He was sure Mayaro was a good guy who cared for his friends and kept them cool under pressure. Back at the Gao mansion, Yuri reflexively hid his wounded arm, fearing his relatives' reaction as they watched him. His mother's pained, disappointed glare sensed his failure and crushed his spirit. His mother sternly demanded to see his hands, hunting for any signs of violence. Dad tries to de-escalate, telling his wife it's just a normal school fight, nothing to worry about. Azua snaps at her husband to shut up and wait, while she handles the situation herself. Mom eyes her son, asking point-blank if he really fought Dora. Yuri nods hesitantly, admitting guilt and braces for the court's interrogation and the fallout. Enraged, Mom slams her fist into her son's head, showing her absolute fury. Mom's rule, if you fight, you're both guilty and both take the blame. Suzuya believed shared traits like bickering would help the boys find common ground and become friends, despite their differences. She forced her son to make up with his rival, ignoring the facts and his feelings. Yuri couldn't understand her twisted logic. Wait, reconcile. Arguing was pointless, so he accepted their terms to end the drama and avoid another family fight. Hours later, dawn breaks and you head back to the dorms. The driver bids the kid farewell, wishing him luck and a bright future. Yuri knew from his parents that Horan was a cold father who ignored his son, creating a massive rift between them. Dora waited at the entrance, watching her classmate approach. He'd changed completely since that day. Yuri, stunned to find his rival waiting at the doorway earlier than usual. Facing her rival, Dora stood tall and declared her honor remained unbroken. He declares the war is just starting. He's taking back everything he lost. Yuri asks if he feels like a failure or how he defines defeat, then admits he's the one who lost. Dora warns the fight's just starting, gear up for the next round. Yuri wants out, but his rival won't quit, certain the next clash brings total victory. Dora sneered, asking if he was running away to defend his honor instead of fighting. Yuri admits that in a real fight, the enemy would have been crushed and forced to flee long ago. Fighting is survival, slacking off makes first place impossible. Yuri mocks the weak strategy, claiming its flaws leave him with zero chance of winning. Dora's back for a rematch after training hard, but her rival warns that running away isn't an option. Yuri tells him to ditch the hate and focus on sharpening his skills. Dora roars she won't tolerate betrayal, warning Yuri not to underestimate his enemy's ambition. He ducks into his room, slamming the door on the campus chaos. Yuri spots new floors, but the broken inkwell hasn't budged, proving no one's actually moved in yet. The bronze bell tolls for lunch, and students sprint to the dining hall ready to feast. The teacher announces you need 300 points to graduate. Check the bulletin board for the details. Yuri realizes half the 300 points are mandatory finals, and fitness covers another third. Picking the right subjects was vital. Elite skills like Royal Eagle Care were reserved for those with rare, natural talent. Yuri snagged 150 points in math, history, and languages, including a bonus Ancient Shan course, but one specific subject caught his eye. Kura's language. He's shocked it's in the curriculum. Knowing the enemy's tongue is a massive war advantage, turning him into a lethal state asset with vital intel. The teacher announces a test to skip mandatory classes. Pass and you're exempt. Yuri's in luck. 3 years of training with Satsuki are finally paying off. He thanked his mentor but had one gripe. Mastering the complex Shan language was a total nightmare. He crushed his daily tasks, perfectly balancing his time and energy. It's been pitch black outside for ages. Yuri's stomach roars, demanding food and reminding him he's starving. After a day of grueling inspections, he's satisfied. The workload is down to 40%. The boy spots Mayara waiting nearby, her curious eyes begging to talk again. He politely asks to sit next to her, respecting her space. Mero offered a seat, and Yuri thanked him for the kind gesture. 300 units terrified him at first, but he soon realized the system was genius. He asks if his friend is free, and he confirms he was released at 93. Yuri's floored by his friend's success. He never expected him to master the material this well. Myro asks for the results, expecting success. Yuri reveals he scored 120 points. His friend stared wide-eyed as the results shattered his expectations, leaving him shocked and hyped. Myro's past studies mean he'll finish early, a huge plus since Yuri knows evening academy usually takes forever. Mastering theory and combat takes 7 years, meaning you'll graduate by age 17. Mayaro fumed as graduation stalled. The final qualifying task wouldn't unlock until age 20. Rookies hit the front lines immediately, forging their character and skills in the heat of battle. This humanitarian university rewards speed. The faster you graduate, the better, nothing like the Academy of Knights. Yura's shocked by his friend's intel and asks for the source. Miira hesitated, unsure how to explain that for true wizard families, this knowledge is just common sense. His family is one of the 7 elite wizard clans. Meant to serve the king, they actually use their magic to break the law and do whatever they want. Miira reveals the scam. They hire dockworkers to loot foreign ships, and it's unstoppable because the corrupt authorities are the ones forcing the bribes. Cash flows and work is easy, just follow the system's unwritten rules. Yuri knows stevedores are just dockworkers, but their dirty business is trashing the profession's reputation. Every nation has corruption, but these 7 wizard families have ruled unchallenged so long they've become the rot itself. Miaro's family are real estate tycoons who build luxury for the elite, ignoring the masses to profit from inequality. Miaro hated this, likely due to his pride as a boy. He thought his family was superior since he was destined to lead them. Trapped as a rich heir, he dreamed of a completely different path. Asked about his friend, Miaro was stunned. That name means wealth and power, but they couldn't change the kid's mind. Knowing his friend was already in the business, he asked, "Isn't school supposed to prep him to inherit the family empire?" Yuri hands the family headship to his cousins, choosing the piece of farming plants and animals instead. Miaro knew his friend was a born leader, responsible, confident, and visionary. He's the perfect head to protect the family and lead them to glory. Yuri loves his quiet life, but a serious girlfriend would flip the script. If he finds her, he might finally take charge. He urged his friend to sync their schedules for joint classes to bond and level up together. Yuri's day-off stroll through the capital is cut short as students swarm the cafeteria, lured by the smell of food. Yuri's lost in thought until he glimpses Carol, a magnetic force of confidence, stealing everyone's attention. Seeing her in men's clothes, he's hooked. Why is this girl posing as a boy at school? Carolina snapped, her eyes filled with sharp anxiety, forcing her into a cold, professional tone. Yuri tensed and backed off. Stepping in now was way too dangerous. He left Carol alone and kept roaming the city. Yuri hits the market, instantly drawn in by the vibrant sights and buzzing crowd. The capital is alive, packed with crowds, chatter, and laughter. The uniform would draw too much heat, so he ditched it. Smart move. The boy ducks into the dark alleys. Crowds vanish, noise dies, and a mysterious silence takes over. He looked around, realizing he was in a strange place. Yuri's shocked. The locals start drinking as early as lunch. The man attacks, and the kid is paralyzed by the raw aggression. He's not built for this and decides to stay far away. Suddenly, a woman screams nearby. The man pinned the girl down, but the boy recognized her instantly. It was Carol. The bandit leader orchestrated it all. Carol screams for help, but the neighbors just watch and whisper from their windows, too scared to act. One man slugs her right in the face. He ordered Carol to shut up right now. Fed up with the girl's noise, he snaps and orders his men to tie her up and shut her up. The man locks eyes with us, sensing something big. He instantly spotted her golden hair. He demanded to know if she was truly royal, scanning her face for a resemblance. The kidnappers panicked, fearing the brutal price they'd pay for snatching such a high-profile target. Yuri thought Carol was asking for trouble. Why risk it alone and drag everyone else down? The kidnappers are stalling. Are they after anyone or just her? He hopes her identity scares them off, but one guy gives him a bad vibe. Bandits order him to scram, but he claims the girl is his servant and asks if they're really gonna kidnap her. Shocked Carol's his servant, the men demand to know when the ransom hits. Yuri's parents will pay the ransom, but they're terrified knowing 3 petty thugs are way out of their league. But their leader was a total wildcard with a unique perspective. He recognized that cold, lifeless stare, the mark of a former soldier he'd seen in his own family. He marches up chest to chest, glaring him down with a cold, stern look. He jammed a knife against the guy's throat, holding it with lethal confidence, ready to strike. He had to know who this mystery girl was. Yuri says if he talks, the kidnappers won't kill him. He grimly takes the girl anyway. Her life depends on his words, but the leader has the final say. Yuri suggests bringing him along. Double the ransom means a guaranteed massive payday. The leader smirked, seeing through the guy's game while hiding his true hand. He says they'll get the riches and are sticking to the plan. A robber pummels the captive, raining down a barrage of brutal blows. Carol tries to protest, but a sharp shout silences her. She's ordered to stay quiet and watch. The kidnapper demands Yura's real identity, warning her to talk now or things get ugly. He lied fast, claiming he forgot and twisting his words to cause confusion. The other kidnappers snapped, demanding the torment end. The leader orders separate interrogations to expose their connection, and their roles in the coming events. The kidnappers dump the boy's gear, scouring every item for valuables or clues about his family. The leader spots a key on the table, engraved with a powerful noble family's crest. That key belongs to the Hao family. This girl's a relative, likely a high-ranking noble. Yuri catches on fast. The girl is the manager's daughter. Sham Hao silently apologizes to Sham. He has no choice. The leader knew the Gauss had a daughter, but blonde hair was strictly for royalty. Yuri carries noble royal blood, and she knows one mistake means they're both dead. The offender played along for now. He grabs Carol's hair, warns the guy not to lie, and demands the raw truth. He had to see if she inherited more than just her ancestors' blood. Yuri swore he was telling the truth, begging the chief to check the captives' papers and verify their origin. The bandit warns Yuri, no lies. He's dragging her to the castle to get the truth from the authorities. He swore he was telling the truth. This girl is the former Gao House head's daughter. The leader froze, then burst out laughing. He never imagined fate would throw him together with the Hukalampa leader's daughter. Yuri's stunned. Does this guy actually know the hellish family head? The man quickly apologizes, begging for no hard feelings. His life had changed. No matter how hard he fought, he stayed in the shadows. He was starving. The leader barked at the boys to sit still. Leaving, he vows to check every word himself, ordering his men to watch the captives and crush any thought of escape. Carol slumped to the floor, face pressed to the wood, sobbing in total terror and helplessness. The door shuts. Yuri snaps toward the girl and whispers an urgent question. He whispered for her to crawl carefully and avoid suspicion. The bandit leader and that monster were gone. Finally, he had a shot at escaping alive. Yuri apologized for using her to rise and promised her freedom. He whispered for her to reach out so he could cut her loose. He always carries a blade for moments like this, and it finally paid off. Carol wondered why he helped. If he'd baited earlier, he'd be safe instead of risking his life as a hostage. Yuri missed the surveillance and failed to warn his old friend, so he's sacrificing his freedom to fix the mistake. With the girl snatched, he hopes the guards notice she's gone, launch a search and rescue every captive. As a warrior's son, he knows a ransom would ruin Carol's reputation. Crushed by the guilt of shaming the Hu family, she offers a sincere apology. She clenched her hand tight. Carol's training failed her. Those screams paralyzed her, and for the first time she felt true terror. The castle view looked like a masterpiece. Blinded by his looks, she ignored the lethal danger hiding behind his perfect facade. Carol stunned by Yuri's ice-cold focus, perfectly reading the chaos while everyone else panics. She asked if he felt any fear, now that his own reckless actions had turned him into a victim of this deadly trap. She remembered the bandit leader's cold, cruel, and cunning eyes. This memory is burned into my brain, and it still terrifies me. Realizing Carol was just a clueless kid, Yuri hesitated and offered her some support. He tried to offer support, but realized he had zero experience helping anyone face their fears. Remembering his father's advice, he mutters that training isn't reality. Everyone's scared of their first real challenge. First fight and he's terrified, heart racing, legs shaking, completely lost as his world collapses. Yuri pegged the bandit leader as an ex-soldier from Kurakina, abandoned by the state. He says guys like them always flock together, but they were way too naive for this place. He knew if she didn't snap out of it, despair would swallow her mind and kill her last hope. Plus, she's a real princess. Yuri realized the bandit's blows hurt way less than that girl's slap. He says go back. Escape, wait, Carol wondered how they'd get out. Let's go with Carol wondered how they'd escape. Wait, Carol. She cautiously asked if he was ready to smash the window. Eri feared the second-story jump would leave them broken. He suddenly stares her down, leaving her flustered and wondering if her outfit is messed up. Yuri confidently asks to check something. Her legs were ready. If they had to bolt, she'd keep pace and wouldn't be the weak link. A bandit shouts, and the whole crew snaps to attention. He flung the door open and barked at the boys. One girl sat before him, tightly bound in ropes. She stared him down, eyes paralyzed with fear, dreading what comes next. The man grills the girl, demanding to know where the boy vanished. Yuri kicks the bandit hard and uses the opening to bolt. The guard slams the floor, clutching his wound in agony. The kid reacts instantly, whipping out a knife and slashing the man's leg. No recovery time. He drove the knife deeper, finishing him off. The boy lunges at the second attacker, carving his way to safety. Panicking, the second robber draws a hidden blade to fight back. Yuri's faster, landing a massive blow instantly. A heavy strike knocks the weapon from the bandit's weak hands. Exploiting the opening, he swings and smashes his opponent's jaw. The strike knocks him out cold, dropping him lifeless to the floor. He spots movement behind him. Another pursuer is closing in. The danger isn't over. The bandit smirked, confident the job was done. He finally breathes easy. Yuri's suddenly right in his face. The man is stunned by his blinding speed and the lethal danger. The boy strikes with lightning speed. A sharp kick to the head knocks the kidnapper out cold. Carol peeks past the door, scanning the room for threats. A bandit writhes on the floor, broken by Yuri's earlier strikes. The second one's out cold nearby, looking dead. Yuri stood his ground, staring down the silent third man. Carol watched in awe, mesmerized by the boy's guts and ingenuity as he handled the danger. The fourth robber grabs her waist, and she screams in terror. The girl tenses, eyes turning ice cold as she braces for the strike. She reacts instantly, nailing the kidnapper's leg with precision. He curls up in agony. As he reels, Carol charges a massive finishing strike to end the fight. She nails a vital spot, dropping the attacker to his knees in agony. The kidnapper gasps for air, writhing in agony and totally helpless. Carol worriedly asked Yuri what he thought of her move, and if he was shocked she finally stood her ground. He hands the girl the family sword. He's blown away by her guts and skill, admitting he's proud of how she stepped up. Yuri saw everything was untouched, cash included. The spot sucked, but a busier street would fix everything. He urged her to run now while the coast was clear. She accepted instantly, knowing hesitation was fatal. The boys eased the door open, listening for movement. Once safe, they bolted from that cursed place. The gang leader froze in shock, staring in total disbelief. Yuri glared at his boss, ready to defend his friend to the death. He gripped her hand tight, dragging her forward without a single pause. He took charge, leading the fastest, safest path to freedom. The leader instantly bolted after the runners. He growled, swearing they wouldn't escape until he reclaimed his stolen goods at any cost. The boys bolt through dark alleys, weaving through shadows to shake their pursuers. Carol saw the city's rot, filthy streets, the homeless, and ruins exposing a brutal reality. She was totally dazed, with no clue where she was. Doubts plagued her. Was this the capital or a strange new land? Yuri tells her to look closer. You can't see a view like this from the castle. Yuri says they hit the capital's dark side, a hidden slum ruled by poverty and despair. Carol never imagined the city's dark side, a world of filth and human misery. The leader bellows. The fugitives are found and driven into a trap. He claimed this yard as his. He mocked them, claiming the game of tag was already over. He refuses to release the boys until he gets his reward, no matter what. Yuri yells to take the cash and slams the coin bag into the bandit's face. He slashes the bag open, sending coins flying everywhere. Passers-by scrambled for the coins, ignoring everything as pure chaos erupted. They lunged at the kidnapper leader to snatch the cash. Yuri tells Carolina to spread the bait wider to distract the pursuer, and she's all in. The leader barks at him to retreat, yelling that he's just getting in the way. The angry man stops dead, staring at something strange in the distance. Suddenly, they'd vanished from the dark street. The leader snaps, shouting that they've vanished without a trace. They both stepped into the crowded chaos. Carol gasps for air, heart hammering after a desperate sprint to outrun her pursuer. They've blended into the crowd and should be safe, but Yuri's anxiety won't let up. The girl scans the area cautiously. She knew this skyline. Smiling citizens walk sun-drenched streets in a city of pure harmony. Back in the capital, same vibe, same memories, and the iconic spots that define its soul. Carol couldn't grasp the lethal darkness hiding behind the capital's peaceful mask. She finally broke, letting her pain and fear pour out. Yuri sensed her mood shift and turned, concerned. He takes a breath, kills his emotions, and locks in for what's next. Excitement surges as fear fades, and he's hit by an undeniable hunger. His stomach growls for food, but Carol's stunned he'd suggest a snack in the middle of this crisis. Carol couldn't believe Yuri's nerves, mid-chase, and he's only thinking about food. He's never been in this mess before, so he's eating to stay calm. She balled her fists, fighting to contain the surge of excitement and doubt. She felt weak for crying, but Yuri reminded her she fought back against the kidnapper. Carol thought she did well, but her husband begged for just a slap next time. Her response? She didn't even mean to hit him. Sick of the endless talk, she suddenly snapped back when someone shouts her name. Guards scrambled to the princess, panicked by her disappearance and desperate to confirm she was safe. Shocked, they asked why she was so filthy and what happened. Carol kept it simple. She walked too far, got lost, and tripped. Another guard worried it was way too dangerous for a woman to be out alone. The second guard confidently promises to head back and hear her story on the way. The boy begs them to stay longer. Yuri tries to say goodbye, but she shuts him down. This is no place for talking. He pulls out an antique, proving his noble bloodline. He claims to be Yuri Hao, heir to the influential Hao family. Stunned by his claim, the guards froze, doubting the boy's every word. He's weighing every risk, hunting for the perfect escape. She tells the lady the carriage is being readied, giving her time to say her final goodbyes. Carol admits she lied to save herself, but Yuri tells her not to sweat it. She boldly reached for his hand. She apologized for hurting him, but he's just glad they survived and wants her back at the academy ASAP. Carol rushes in and settles into the massive carriage. She whips around and calls out to Yuri. She thanked him for getting her through the rough day. Back at the dorms, Yuko barely entered before a wave of adventures left him totally exhausted. Dora's still gone, the neighbors a no-show, and classes start tomorrow. Carol's words echoed. Had anyone ever thanked him so sincerely? Flashbacks hit him. Back in grad school, Yuri discovered someone beat him to his own idea. He hoped this permit would land him a job, but someone already beat him to it. Days later, Yuri returns to find his computer gone. A coworker blames a water spill, but Yuri knows it was stolen. A fake excuse cleared the staff, and everything clicked. Full restoration failed, but a flash drive saved some of the data. Yuri sued and won the settlement, but lost his job. His girlfriend insulted him. She saw him as a toxic shut-in obsessed with his lab, failing at both work and school. She demanded all her belongings be trashed. Yuri finally had enough cash for a happy new life. He keeps them, she asks why, but he shuts her down. It's time to say goodbye. Yuri bolts up, relieved it was just a nightmare, until a strange voice shatters the silence, asking if he's okay. Carol watches him thrash in his sleep, desperate to escape some unseen terror. He bolts from bed, heart pounding and gasping, eyes wide with terror. Why was she even here? Carol claims this bed. Yuri rages about an unannounced female roommate in a boys' dorm, but she just sees another typical guy. She tells him to handle nightmares better. He admits dreaming he was dumped and fired. Carol notes the job loss sucks, but he seemed relieved when the girl left. To her, this interrogator was a total scumbag. Yuri was clueless, drowning in the sudden chaos. Carol warns, gender doesn't matter, but if you value money over everything, you're a total scoundrel. Her mom taught her that bad people always betray, but good ones stay loyal until they turn evil, regardless of their reputation. She didn't buy it. Men talk about love, but they only judge looks. Carol tells him to forget that nightmare immediately. Yuri found it weird for a kid to have such dark thoughts. He tried to move her for safety, but she refused. She was here to network with future knights, and his feelings weren't her priority. She challenges him to a game tonight to test his strength. Carol trains with a teacher to gauge her progress and test her skills. She fights her mentor with everything she's got, refusing to quit despite being totally outmatched. He stood firm, sent her to Group 2, and called the next student. Next up is Yuri, ready to prove his skills to the strict mentor. He greeted the teacher politely, but the man skipped the small talk and forced a duel to test his skills. The kid dives in, using lightning reflexes to hold his own against the veteran. He dodged and parried every heavy blow. Still, the teacher easily outclassed him. He slams the boy down, sealing his defeat. The mentor's impressed. That training earned the kid major respect. He sent the kid to the elite group and called up the next challenger. Yuri breathed deep, torn between pride in his power and fear of the trials ahead. He sizes them up. Carol's fast, and the second kid's clearly leveled up. The duo chose raw strength to crush every obstacle and prove their worth. Mayaro lands in Squad 4, the dumping ground for rookies and weaklings. Yuri decided to stay cool and join his friend. Dora steps up, warning him not to celebrate yet. His team is strong and deserves respect. Eric figured he was talking trash again, just staging a setup to flex. He had no clue what it meant or why he had to step in. Morning practicals and afternoon math left him isolated by a unique schedule, until a boy asked to sit with him and he agreed. Harold Garrel meets Yuri Hao, but the name leaves Garrel visibly stunned. Harold felt like he'd met a Gao family celebrity, but Yuko was stunned. He'd never heard a name as weird as Harold. He's been training for the family business for a year and asks if the new guy missed class, but the stranger fires back, asking if he's even a student since he's never. He goes by Harold and says he's just a guest student. Yuri mistook Harold for a civilian, shocked he knew nothing about the academy's auditing courses. Harold says the academy accepts all ages, explaining the crowd of adults, but the man wonders why he chose this major. Low fees and pro teachers brought him here. As a merchant's son, he had to master math and writing to avoid being a joke and to stand equal with the nobility. A bad teacher doesn't mean wrong info, and Yura's sold. With their diplomas, they'll match noble knowledge and talk business with zero misunderstandings. Yuri asks about his new friend's job, learning he's a sailor trading across the globe. War wrecked Harold's trade with Kirchner and wiped out his suppliers. Now, blocked competitor borders are tanking his business. Irie agrees, it's like taking over a bankrupt company. High risk, zero guaranteed reward. Bankruptcy means paying business debts with everything you own, no exceptions. But his family's business had stood strong for decades. They weren't quitting, he needed a new product, but asking the sellers was pointless. Then it hit him. The boy tells Harold to learn the Kara language and trade directly to skyrocket the family business. He knew the ban only hit Kura. Locals could still sell to any foreigner on their own turf. War locks down borders to keep civilians out of the crossfire, but some will still risk everything to negotiate with Harold. Harold never saw this coming, but the offer hooked him. He's gambling on a new strategy to test his luck. Harold thanked him for the tip, ready to test the idea and dodge pirate raids. Seeing his hype, Yuri wished him luck on the gamble. Days later, Mayaro realizes why Harold studied Kura. He's mastering the language to expand his trade empire and lock in new partners. He urged him to stop being shy and speak his mind, realizing Harold Show's name alone struck terror into Yuri. He asks if Harold's trading house is legit. The verdict, they're a massive, trusted powerhouse. Harold's trading house is collapsing. The Marmosets, one of the 7 great witch houses, are sabotaging them into bankruptcy. Marmosets hunt traders who refuse bribes. Yuri calls these family thugs criminals who bleed honest businesses dry. No wonder Harold's playing it safe around these dangerous, powerful families. Harold listens closely as Mayor reveals how a criminal gang blackmailed him. Yuri admits trading with the main group is just a theory and asks his friend if it'll actually work. My arrow confirmed it. He's gonna be a nightmare to handle. The mission, find trade in Kura territory, but kill too many locals, even in self-defense, and they're branded pirates and executed. Yuri wondered if this was even illegal. It was basically a private war invading borders for profit. Arrow figured if Harold can score rare foreign goods, the reward will be massive. He tested the merchant's guts for a risky, high-profit play. A Kira language instructor at the academy let students dive deep into Kira culture and traditions. A Kira refugee, she fled her homeland to teach her people's traditions at the academy. Savino greets the crowd, credits the princess for her academy teaching job, and starts talking about her ears. These unique traits let students identify Kura women instantly. She was thrilled to meet him, and Yuri realized she was the academy's living legend. Mayaro spots she's a heretic exiled 3 years ago and wonders why she fled. His friend finds her story weird, but her strange ears are the real shocker. Modern Shans are infertile, making him wonder if their bodies changed since the Great Empire. Even at their peak, their true race remained a total mystery. Savannah kicks off the first Tarano lecture, the official language of the queer people. Terran isn't standard for the Kurov, but it's Europe's official language. The teacher calls it the best choice, and Yura's hooked by its complexity. 1 year wasn't enough to master a language from scratch, so the course stayed empty and unpopular. The teacher breaks down Terran, and the kid realizes Sian is as different as English and Japanese, a massive language barrier. He thought Mayaro messed up picking this language, underestimating its brutal difficulty and deep cultural nuances. Harold looked totally unbothered. Yuri figured he'd done this before, explaining his massive confidence. Savannah ends her lecture with high hopes for the year, but Mayar doubts he has the strength to survive the grind. To him, it was octopus language, total gibberish, just like any complex science. Yuri tells his friend to stop rushing. Learning takes time, so just relax and enjoy the process. He turned to his friend, asking how things were with Mr. Gerald to keep the conversation friendly. Harold's found a way to trade with Kura, but it's way more complicated than he expected. He'll get the teacher's advice at the next meeting, and Yuri's tagging along to learn everything he can. Days later, Savino's hooked on the Kura trade ideas and hits the guys up to talk future deals. 2 guys watch a girl in a poncho heat a kettle in a cramped library. She warns them it's dangerous but possible. She points them to the Republic of Albion despite never visiting, leaving the 2 guys looking dazed and exhausted. A tall man pitches this offshore island nation, while its flag waves over the landscape. The girl serves tea, mentioning rumors but noting they're friendly with Sean, as the silent second guy finally grabs a cup. The girl stands tall, explaining they follow Edishin, not Karluj, and their faith treats all Chanas as equals. Idis is a major Terran religion, But the girl warns that shrine prejudice is still rampant, a reality the boy ponders. He branded Shans as demons who supposedly destroyed Shantilla, despite never hearing of these radical beliefs before. Yuri asks if their scriptures differ. She says the original texts weren't anti-Shani, they just called them hair-eared northern pagans. Back then, Curis and Shans were seen as one, and her words leave the boys stunned. He doesn't get it, seeing these strangers as nothing but enemies to be destroyed. 3 years ago, Edits formed the Crusaders to crush the Shans, but they betrayed their own shield and attacked the kingdom of Kirshner. The declaration is out, their god's army born to slaughter the demons desecrating their land. To purge this filth, they must die. Repent and seek forgiveness, and God will grant his grace. The Crusaders fought those who preyed on the weak, and their uncle died in that same war. He asks if it's the total opposite of what people think, and she admits it happens all the time. She hangs her head, staring down and calling it pure blasphemy. These 2,000-year-old texts survived the ages and are finally translated into Turani. Translation fails turned real pagans into demons. Only priests master this complex language. The King James Version is the Catholic scripture used to oppress the faithful, but only 1 in 10,000 can actually read it. Believers can't check the originals, letting people twist the teachings with bad translations to suit themselves. Medieval girls claimed God's world for themselves, branding outsiders as heathens and fueling global prejudice. A boy whispers he won't interrupt, asks where Albion is, then asks the teacher for the board. He sketches a map in chalk. They lean in, and seeing the drawing, the girl praises his incredible map. The Euphosian Confederation holds southern Great Albion, waging a long war to reclaim their territory. She points to 2 small islands, Albion. The Karlog sect split before the corruption and don't see Shoni as demons. They're dangerous pirates, but still better than the Catholic Kumas. Catholics twisted the Bible for their own gain, acting more like a faction than a religion, a corruption that wasn't part of their original doctrine. The boy asks for their sect. Smiling with a hand to her heart, she claims the school of Vatashi. Her faith is rooted in ancient Catholic traditions. She nearly died spreading her word, and now it's all she has left. He stands, eyes closed, and tells her he's sorry for what happened. Teacher folds their arms, preaching about the state. After weeks trapped with the same crowd, their obsession feels totally pointless. She hates that faith comes from within. She says faith is your true inner self, but the guys just stare back, completely clueless. Harold asks about the school, but the boy's shocked. Since when did he care about religion? The mansion's dark halls swallow the silence, while a hidden player moves their chess pieces. 2 rivals duel in a dark room. One studies the board while the other sparks a genius plan. He's tuned out the game, flashing back to the faith he once felt. In his past life, he was a researcher obsessed with water, until someone stole everything and shattered his dreams. He trusted no one, expected nothing, and shut the world out. He's changed, choosing to believe in love and trust in people. Act now to shift the world's fate and find the strength to protect his friends. Player 2 keeps calling, but Yuri's lost in his own head. He snaps back and asks if it's his turn. She nods, her trap already set, as you take his king. She calls him strong, but he says it's a coin flip. Seeing he's checked out of the game, she asks what he's really thinking. He says he's fine, just planning for the academy, and she's instantly hooked. He's got 0 points and way too much time, so he's just looking for a way to kill it. Internships are fine, but Harold wants more. He's got a massive business idea, but 0 resources to launch it. No business, no new products. He sits on a bench, hands clasped, staring blankly at his partner. She suggests talking tomorrow, classic him, and Yuri happily agrees. His betrayer wins, leaving him fuming. A new girl asks to join, but he just heads to bed. A girl in a jacket and tie walks the crowded hall, smiling as everyone greets her. She spots 2 smiling teens and freezes in awe. She welcomes the short-haired girl to Night Academy. The newcomer introduces herself as Shamu. Carol's taking her to the dorms on her brother's orders. Trust her, she's got this. Shamu's hooked, chanting her name and thanking her. She stands holding a bag, rocking striped leggings and floppy ears. Sun's out, gates are open, and inside, yesterday's chess match is still raging. Carol asks Yuri why he didn't host the game. He'd love to, but guys are banned from the girls' dorm. He then asks how it went. She claims she's nicer than her cousin Sham, leaving Yuri stung with shame. Carol introduces Shama to her roommate Lily, a kind and attentive girl. Yuri's opponent claims victory, demanding he stay away from the princess so they can be together, leaving Yuri completely baffled. Player 2 asks if it's a date, but Yuri denies it. Despite the romantic vibes, both insist they aren't a couple. In a sunlit glade, Yuri pilots a massive eagle with Carol saddled up and gripping the reins. Stroking Zoria's beak, the boy calls it an honor to carry the princess. He tells the eagle to obey, and the bird trustingly shuts its eyes. She buckles up, and he warns her to watch out. This eagle's got a nasty temper. She yanks the leash. The bird snaps alert and soars, leaving Yuri far below. Carol leans low, gripping the reins tight as the massive bird soars. Watching the eagle soar, he confirms they're on course. Better yet, the star hides Carol's true character. They've climbed high, and he hopes the momentum holds. As Carol and the eagle soar, Yuri naps, enjoying the surprisingly perfect winter weather. Footsteps echo as a girl sprints toward the boy. She jolts Yuri awake. He cracks an eye open, stunned to see a stranger. She hunches over, gasping for air, while he props himself up, completely clueless. Finding her voice, she points and asks if he's seen her big sister. He stares in shock. She's a new face, a blonde he's never seen before. He denies knowing her or her sister, but she strikes a pose and says her hair explains it all. Kiria Fulsharder is hunting for her older sister, Carol. Smirking, he learns she's Carol's sister, and calls their identical looks a true rarity. Meet Yuri Gu, the Gao family's eldest son, and his longtime friend and roommate, Carol. He says her sister flies an eagle now, but she just glares with annoyed curiosity, repeating his clan name. Curiosity ducks as Yuko springs up, eyes full of questions. She suddenly offers friendship. Her crazed gaze and weird gestures baffle Yuri. She cuts him off and demands a date. A stunned Yuri asks why. Yuri's honored to be his friend, but he's shocked and declines, saying he's happy with Carol. She asks if he's dating her sister. Wait. Flustered, Yuri snaps that he has zero interest in meeting or marrying any of them. She snaps up, snorts, and tells them to tell her sister she's looking for her with something important. She gives him a crazed look and says goodbye, calling out his full name. She walks off, leaving him sitting awkwardly, baffled by her behavior. He looks up at a soaring eagle, realizing his mood was just twisting his reality. Late that night, Carol shows up for chess, arms crossed as she grills Julia about her sister. He forgot to mention someone was looking for him, and Carol is absolutely livid. She leans in and whispers, asking if he loves her sister. Yuri calls it nonsense. They only spoke once while she was eagle riding, and her sister is just spreading rumors they're in love. Glass in hand, the boy says she's dreaming. Carl insists he doesn't love her. Relieved by the no, he tells her she can finally relax. Finishing his soup, he wonders why the smart Kira would spread rumors. She sits and listens intently. She sighs Kira loves her, but he's always trying to outdo her. She's furious her sister helped Shama. Kira demands to know why she went and what it all means. She screams that the admin usually shows everything, shocked her sister helped that girl. Carol tells her to chill, it's just a friend's cousin. She snaps at her sister, demanding royal respect and no more insults behind her back. Carol clutched her head, too traumatized to speak. She prayed her sister wouldn't hurt Shama, while Yuri cursed himself for asking her for help. A stern giant looms behind, silencing the boy to speak with Carol. The boy says a stomach cramp sent the guy diving into the women's restroom, where he exploded, screaming and waving his arms for silence. Yuri grabs the tray and heads out, telling him to skip the meal and keep his girlfriend company. She wants to eat now, he asks if she's sure, and Carol's hyped to dig in. Yuri finds them laughing and chatting, exactly as he expected. 4 years later, Yuri sits in a massive house, writing with perfect penmanship. Carol bursts in, showing the boy a wax-sealed letter from his mom. Shocked, the boy watches her strike a pose and hand him a letter, declaring they're finally 15. A carriage pulls up to massive pillars backed by a dense forest. The driver grips the reins, waiting for the signal. A knock at the door reveals Carol. She's here for Yuri and asks if he's ready. He fixes his tie and says he's done. She pats his shoulder and tells him to relax. It's just a casual meeting for her mom to say thanks. He needs to stay cool and talk, but the guy is rattled. This old case caught him off guard, and getting answers won't be easy. He nervously fixes his tie, wondering if school robes are too disrespectful for the queen. The queen summons Yuri Hao to the palace to reward him for creating the smallpox vaccine. Armed with past memories and his father's intel, he crushed the plague, keeping casualties at a minimum. In the carriage, the girl mocks Yuri's manners, but he's staying formal for his meeting with the queen. Carol's stunned he made it. Yuri's flying blind with the queen, so he's prepping for everything. They hit Oho Island and enter a lavish castle with marble pillars and giant windows. The boy kneels before the queen, thanking her with joy, while Carl stands behind looking sad and thoughtful. The queen sits tall in her gown, hands folded, watching the boy with a warm, thoughtful gaze. She smiles, welcomes him, and offers a seat. The queen looks just like Carol, even her gaze is identical. Rumors say Yuri's a gentleman, so he bows and sits while Carol joins him. He vaguely confirms the rumors. Carol snaps, asking who he's talking to just as the maid serves drinks. The boy respectfully calls Carol Your Majesty, making her skin crawl, but the queen warmly praises their wonderful friendship. Carol thanks the maid and takes over. The maid bows out and Carol pours the boiling water. The queen sips the tea, praising her daughter's improved brewing. Now calm, she's ready to talk. She thanks Yuri, crediting his smallpox strategy for saving countless lives. He's planned this for years, using a shepherd's trick that's common knowledge and feels like second nature. The queen offers a reward, so he asks for gear or gold. The queen says Yuri's logic and common sense spark brilliant ideas. He's securing a patent to protect future inventions and keep his profits safe from thieves. Invent a watch, make bank, but if someone copies it, the value tanks. Innovation would die. He wants a system where inventors get a cut of every sale. Let's try to keep the range. Perpetual rights are unfair. Limit them to 20 or 30 years so the whole nation can use the tech and thrive. The queen realizes this is no ordinary patent. She wants to open the system to the whole nation. Yuri's down as long as he still gets a say. Carol snaps, flailing her arms. She yells that Yuri's just a kid, forget the money, what about his duty? She lectures him on science and training, but Yuri just sips his tea. To him, money is king, especially at night. The queen cuts Carol off. Listen to Yuri, you might be rich, but most people work just to survive. The queen isn't making her quit. The boy is the school's top student, so Carol's wrong, plus more money means a richer nation. The girl teared up in shame. Yuri watched her pityingly but stayed silent. He knew the queen was right. He tells her to ignore it, but Carol snaps, feeling mocked. The queen shuts her down again, leaving her in tears. In the silent dorm, Yuri scratches his head, replaying everything. He's already fed up with his new business, but his friend insists that dealing with witches is just part of the trade. Witches control the capital's economy. Sell a unique item, and they'll mass-produce thousands of copies instantly. They poison rivals, crush markets, and steal goods. Launching anything new is suicide, so nobody even tries. Without a patent, they'll be crushed like bugs. Suddenly, a girl calls him from the doorway. She flashes a letter with a wicked grin, claiming it's from her mom. Inside is a royal decree. Yuri's invention is the nation's first-ever patent, and he's hyped. She hands him a reward pouch. He opens it to find a stash of gold coins. Inside are 30,000 coins. As he checks the cash, he's told the 7 great witches are already complaining. They don't get why they're paying patent fees. Pointing to the bag, she warns that money is tight, and they must spend it wisely. She leaves, but Yuri's shocked friend realizes the bag is short on cash. Back to the plan. Yuri needs staff, and they outline the requirements. They don't just flip goods. They need versatile staff who can sell and adapt instantly. Normally, the trade guild helps, but 7 powerful witches control the capital, and they won't let Yuri trade. The boy groans as those 7 witches strike again, blocking their capital recruits, but his friend. He's only got one person on his mind, Kaf Want. He was in his family's favorite guild until he crossed the witches and got kicked out, sharing only a few parting words. Kaffa hates the corrupt witch merchant system. His friends trust him, and Yuri takes note. The second guy asks about the patent, and he starts explaining. He shoves the letter in their face, bragging that he's patented the modern version of parchment. On the same island, a guy walks past rows of boarded-up, abandoned houses. He greets beggars, passes empty streets, enters a house, stops at a door, sighs, and knocks. A noise echoes behind the door. A guy creeps in, scanning the room. Sprawled on a moth-eaten sofa in the dark, a man covers his eyes with an empty bottle on his chest. The room's a total wreck. Yuri introduces himself, saying a friend sent him. The drunk man wakes, mutters his name, and groans about the minor girl, snapping that he has no time for games. It's only noon, and the guy's already wasted. Yuri trusts Mayaro's plan to sell new goods in the capital, but the drunk warns it's futile, the witches. The kef explains the village layout, while the boy reaches into his bag. Nearby, the drunk watches Yuri present the queen's official decree as proof. Kaf scans the letter, leaps from bed in disbelief, and grins while a young man watches for his reaction. He scowls at the man with murky eyes, rudely demanding to know what the new product is. Yuri pulls a box from his pocket and hands Kafu a paper from inside. He presents a waste paper sample, rough but better than parchment. He's sure they'll perfect it, and after inspecting the sheet, the man asks for his orders. The boy starts his business as planned, but Kaf questions if he's actually cleared his schedule. He's finally mastering paper production, but now he's asking for his cut. Yuri offers steady pay plus a raise if sales hit. The man sighs, weighing the deal. He looks up bored, asking if he really thinks he can do it. Mass-produce this, and Parchment vanishes in a decade. Calf warns the Parchment Guild is ruled by a witch who'll stop at nothing to sabotage them. Forget sabotage. He's facing threats and leveled factories because new products always crush the competition. Mass-producing paper from these trees is half the cost of parchment. Powerful or not, the witches are getting priced out. Snorting, he downs another drink and mocks the blind ego, demanding proof he can actually pull it off. Without proof, Yuri called it a failure and decided Mayara was wrong. He heads out to find a new merchant, determined to prove a peasant can strike it rich by purging witches. He's got a massive goal ahead. To win, she needs a pro-trader, but Koff is a coward, working for scraps and hiding behind others. Don't judge someone's risks without knowing their heart. Yuri thought Calf left despite the rotten system, but he clearly missed something. The boy leaves. The man lowers his drink, head slumping in exhaustion. Walking down the hall, he suddenly hears a noise behind him. He rounds the corner and a man stops him, demanding to know who tipped him off. Who is this guy? The boy identifies his classmate, Mayaro Gyudonville, leaving the man in total shock. He suddenly apologized, admitted he was wrong, and offered to help, claiming he'd grown rusty with age. Deeper into the same ruined village. Bag in tow, Yuri heads upstairs and knocks. He introduces himself and Calf says it's open. The clutter is gone. Surrounded by buckets, a coughing woman sits with her sleeves rolled up, ready to start making paper. He shreds and sorts the fabric. Yuri questions the massive bowl, but it's standard. Calf leaps up to join Yura. Dropping his bag and eyeing the water basin, Yura declares it's time to experiment. He pulls a strange tool from his bag, instantly hooking the calf. It's a masterpiece forged by a master craftswoman. Today they're testing waste. He originally wanted to boil shredded wood in alkaline water for fiber, but plans changed. He mixes shredded fabric into the water, testing the texture of the mass. Sleeves up, jacket ditched, he lowers a strange device into the water. The man watches the boy's pure joy as he splashes and dives deeper. He explains the process. This tool sinks floating fibers, tangling them into thick strands. He hauls her to the blanket, confused, and asks if she's okay. Since he's right-handed, that side's thicker, but it's finally taking shape. They wait for the paper to dry for another shot. Koff asks to join the next attempt, and Yuri gladly agrees. Wiping his hands, he watches the man struggle. He worried for nothing, sober, the guy's strong enough to stand. He can finally rely on him. The calf tells Yuri to drop the informal talk. It's weird for a boss to speak that way to a subordinate. He grins, wipes his hands, and watches his subordinate struggle, declaring he's done with those old ways. 1 month later, Yuri's strolling through the academy when someone grabs his shoulder. It's an old friend he hasn't seen in ages. He's stunned by his friend's irritation, clueless about the sudden outburst. Time's flown since the Cura trade, and Isa's worried. One guy's waiting for souvenirs while another wants the latest news. Yur reveals he's developing a new product for the capital, leaving a shocked Harold demanding details. The boy hands Harold a sheet, shocking him. He calls it Ho, a waste-based sample with the final product coming soon. His friend wants to learn the craft, so Yuri brings him along to a new workshop. He winks, saying she's far away, but he's proud of her. The duo mounts a giant eagle, soaring over mountains and forests toward their destination. They reach a hidden forest house. Harold brags about his first flight, while Yuri points out an old stable overlooking a river-powered water wheel. Paper needs massive water, and Shibiaku's clean upper river is the perfect spot. He welcomes his friend in, swings the door open, and the guy peeks inside with a shocked gasp. The bar is massive and spotless, lined with barrels and ingredients. In the corner, a man works on something strange. Hera looks around stunned. Yuri thanks him for liking it, but suddenly the boy is called. Kef presents their best sample, but Harold recognizes him and freezes in shock. Kef glared, trading names and demands with the stranger, until their talk suddenly exploded into a shouting match. Yuri steps up, calls Koff his partner, and asks if they've met. Tension flares as Harold confronts his business rival. The man dismisses his sabotage as just work, mocking Harold for still being a pushy flirt. They clashed, trading accusations, as the argument spiraled into a total brawl. She lunged to strike the calf, but Yuri grabbed her collar and stopped her cold. He lets go, trips him, and sends him screaming to the floor. He grabs his scruff again, yanks him close, and screams to snap him out of it. Yuri sternly warned them not to cause chaos, while her friend struggled to escape, screaming and pinning the blame on Calf. Weapon raised, he declared their past over. This was his workshop now. He spent years grinding to fund a barn and his crew, even commissioning Lily for a unique tool that cost him a fortune. If they'll wreck everything over a petty fight, Yuri orders them out now. Harold finally admits defeat and apologizes. The man warns KF to take the fight outside. They trade looks and KF apologizes. Back to work, Yuri pivots to a sample as the worker reveals their finest paper. Yuri examines the paper as a nervous calf begs for a reaction. Finally, Yuri gives a satisfied nod. He praised the work and felt proud to sell it, making the employee ecstatic. Yuri notes the smooth surface and invisible fabric, asking Calf how he perfected the paper. He revamped the press, polishing the rough wood and adding a waterproof wax coating. Once profitable, Yuri will have Lilia upgrade their tools for CAF. They'll find new suppliers later, but for now, they're using what they've got. Peril watches them, realizing Yuri's dead serious and totally hyped. He confirms it, they're seizing power and crushing the Parchment Guild. Harold panics, asking if the witches will allow this, but Yuri flips a paper. He's got a patent. Seeing their confusion, he explains. Once paper hits mass production, they're moving straight to the next project. Patent's pending, so he's keeping quiet, but he's already teasing 2 more massive inventions, shocking his friend. He agrees if paper production holds, but Kafka shuts him down with a hard no. Grinning, he tosses him a towel and tells the boss he's ready to show his true skills. Fist bump, Yuri's counting on him. Months later, crowds swarm the shop for that eco-paper. Girls clutch the sheets, buzzing with excitement. North of the capital, near the witch's forest, a grand mansion sits hidden among the clouds and dense woods. She calmly walks the empty hall, box of papers in hand. She enters the dark room, lit only by the fireplace. Dead silence. Parchment, money, and scrolls clutter the table, while someone in the chair makes weird sounds. She knocks, enters with the perfect product, and hands a paper to the hand reaching from the chair. Long black claws lurk beneath the paper, ominously whispering his name. Cheaper than parchment, this paper is dominating the capital. The man behind it, Yuri Go, heir to the Go family. The witch inspects the paper as the girl reveals the boy is the Ho family heir and Mayaro's classmate. Suddenly, she hurls it into the fire. She whispers a demand. The family head must be invited to the royal palace events. The witch schools him. The action kicks off on the royal castle island. A massive feast is in full swing with food and dancing, until a hand grabs a guest's shoulder and calls his name. He spins around to find a man in a black coat. The stranger greets him, and Luke instantly recognizes his old friend, Gala. Luke apologizes to the girl and rejoins his friend, who nags him for being too busy for drinks. Suddenly, a stick taps. A witch appears. Clad in fur with staff and fan in hand, the witch takes her paper oar and addresses Luke Howe. The men bow, relieved the witch is safe. Meet Lady Luista, one of the 7 great witches and leader of the Gudanvira clan. Gala asks her friend for forgiveness and sends him off. Luke's glad he's alive. Gala exits and Luke bows low to the witch. The witch knows Milo and Luca share a dorm. Luca confirms, but says they barely speak since his son is never home. Hiding behind her fan, the witch mocks the father for not knowing his son's secret. Stunned, he asks what she means. The witch claims he's banking off cheap parchment alternatives, but the father sees no issue. This move crashes the parchment market. Too much cash for a kid. If this keeps up, the witches won't ignore it. Luke stands frozen, processing the warning. The witch turns away, wanting to talk it over with her son. She tilts her head, warning Luke he's playing with fire. His father sighs, eyes going distant as he realizes the danger his son is in. At the Ho Villa, Yura returns from night academy and hugs a short woman in a headscarf. Tearing up, she whispers, "Welcome home." Mom notices he's grown, but he laughs it off. His academy classmates are massive. Meanwhile, Dad's waiting in the living room for a talk. The living room is sleek, centered by a massive table and bookshelves. A man stands with his back turned, hearing someone approach. Yuri returns, and Luke jokes it's been a century. Yuri claims he was busy, but his dad sits him down. They need to talk. Dad calls him out for spending a fortune and keeping it a secret. He apologizes for the intrusion, but since he's funding this himself, he's keeping the family out of it. Dad sighs he's just a student, but Yuri fires back. He's got 90% of his points, morning classes, and 5 years left. Dad agrees but has a catch. Before he can speak, Yuri cuts in, asking if being clueless about free time is actually illegal. His dad's acting suspicious. He asks if he's okay, but his father stays silent, insisting everything is fine. They still say no, and everything stays broken. Yuri suspects the witches tipped off his father and demands to know what they said about his shady reputation. Dad reveals his royal castle invite, and the witches are already gossiping. Yuri hides his name and business, but his father warns that the Witcher family sees everything. He takes work seriously, but tells his dad to speak up if it ever hurts the family. Luke trusts him, do whatever, just nothing evil. But if he makes enemies, he better be ready. The knights won't always be there to guard the capital. Dad learns his son is close with Princess Carol, but the witch's family warns him to stay on guard. Yuri's shocked even witches complain. Luke plays nice with the future queen but stays cautious. The boy asks again, is she really the next ruler? His father heard Princess Caria isn't seeking the throne. Yuri admits he doesn't want his friend to be queen, leaving his dad baffled. Yuri reveals she asked him out, sending her dad leaping in horror. She's telling the dorm they're engaged and he's fed up. He shut her down, but Luke's still worried. Next, the action hits the Devil's Cave at the Shirakawa Festival. Two guys gossip as one hears about a new project from a senior and spots a ridiculous book being sold about it. The second asks what the books are and if he's read them. A love triangle with Milo and Dora, but his dad can never know. He hit up a famous author for newspaper material, never realizing the story was actually a BL novel. A BL novel about him and his father ended in tragedy. That doodle banned self-insert romances where the author dates a popular guy. He broke the silence with a novel about his father, only to be mocked and bullied by everyone. She chased his father, but his rejection broke her. Her brother's duel started it all. Now he's expelled for murder. Famous family's genius second son, he had a bright future, until one murder made him quit the nightlife. He married his mother just to seize her breeding farm. Yuri says hide the book from your dad to avoid triggering his past. Dad calls it a good lesson, warning him to watch out. Women's hearts are a total mystery. A small girl in a headscarf and braids appears, hands clasped, announcing their meal is ready. Yuri spots a new face, likely a maid. His father grabs her shoulder, imagining Beria, Manon, Suzui's little sister, and his cousin. Yuri's shocked she's working as a maid, but Dad explains it was her own idea. Beria bows politely, and a stunned Yuri awkwardly greets her back. Dad smiles, asking to talk later and dismissing the girl. The maid bows and heads out. Alone now, the father's face shifts as he roughly grabs his son's shoulder. Narrowing his eyes, he muttered that family shouldn't be servants, and his son agreed. Luke hears Yuri's business is booming, but Yuri claims they're losing money to scale up. Luke's take? They definitely need help. Eyeing his father with distrust, the boy finally admitted he needed help. Luca declares it's official. Beria is his new partner. Yuri's stunned, his mind racing with questions. Seeing no pushback, Dad calms down, reminding his son it's for the family and everyone's counting on him. The duo hits Kaft's place to find him lounging as usual. He gives a lazy greeting, calling his proposal unconventional. The girl with Yuri is suspicious. Feeling awkward, he pushes forward and explains everything. He invites her to the squad. She bows, eager to start, but Kaft's still confused. What does the boss really want from him? He warns that mixing work and women spells disaster, but Yuri snaps and cuts him off mid-sentence. Beria is his maternal cousin. He took her in after her maid job failed. Kaft sighs, asking about housing. Yuri warns the area is too dangerous, but Kaffa shocks him by deciding they'll just move. He wants the wealth rumors to spread, desperate to finally move somewhere safe. Kafel vows to train and protect her if Yuri hires her. Hand on her shoulder, he calls it a perfect coincidence. He slumps into his chair, dejected. His dad found out, but this might be the perfect opening. They're now officially the Ho Company. He suddenly names Kafu president, but the silent girl watching barely offers a congrats. Sam Kaf bowed low in deep respect. The big guy crowns himself chairman and puts off the salary talk. He's happy to help, and the boy thanks him. Yuri calls Kaf dramatic, but Kaf says it's all about the vibe as the girl smiles. Back at the witch's house, the tension is suffocating as the boy stands before her chair, hands behind his back, visibly trembling with fear. He asks Grandma what to do. She got him into night school, but she's not paying his tuition. A letter from the family sits by the fireplace. The witch orders it delivered to the boy and demands he visit her. The witch's gaze cuts deep. This is an order. If her granddaughter is unhappy, she'll pull his support and boot him from the academy. Mid-lecture, Yuko is spiraling. He knows that letter is bad news and his friend is headed for disaster. He finally chooses. He's got a letter for Yuri. Stunned, he reaches to grab it. Just before it hits the paper, he bails, claims it's nothing, and stashes it away. He declines, making Yuri even more suspicious of his interest in the letter. He shouts that Arnold runs weirdly, distracting him. As Arnold turns, Yuri swipes the letter. He reads the letter and nods. It's bad news and he's in deep trouble. Yuri reads the sender. Lyada, head of the elite Gutenveer witches and Milo's grandmother. He's invited home, refuse, and Milo's funding stops. He calls it a business grab. The witch's terms are non-negotiable, forcing his friend to deliver the letter. He's baffled why family-hating Milo is handing him this letter, but with his education at stake, he can't say no. The witch manipulates the girl with threats of expulsion, so Yuri vows to save his friend from the same fate. Pale and bewildered, Milo listens as his friend tells him to relax. Yuri's got this. Overjoyed and grateful, he clasps his hands in thanks. Night training rages on as armored spearmen obey a burly commander's orders. Yuri sneaks up and asks who trains the train guards. He says yes, heading back to the main house tomorrow to lead their training. Yuri asks OM to stay, but demands he swap his armor for a butler suit, leaving him completely stunned. He's dead serious about raiding the Gutenveer estate and needs backup. He paused, then snapped his sword up, ready to die for the kid. The cart creeps through the forest. She stops at the residence gates. A guard rushes her with a drawn sword, declaring this Gutenveer's home and demanding to know why they're here. Yuri flings the curtain aside, shouting that the master invited him personally. He orders the guards to verify it and open the gates. Minutes later, he's yelling at them to hurry. The guests are waiting. The door swings open, revealing the manager's chief assistant in a black suit as she bows to the guests. She waves them in. Yuri and the knight dressed as butlers follow her lead. Alone as always, the witch stares at the empty chairs, fingers pressed to her lips in deep thought. Yuri and Soim stride into the hall, scanning the room with sharp eyes. He stared into the witch's eyes, muttering her name. This meeting was going south fast. Lyuda offers a seat, but Yuri tosses his cloak to the maid and sits anyway, making it clear he doesn't need her permission. Ignoring his attitude, the witch turned to the butler behind Yuri, who refused to sit down. The boy demands the truth to make it home for dinner, but the witch smirks. They might not leave alive. Yuri refuses to visit anyone using their grandkids as blackmail. Lyuda called poisoning Ho's son and air pure stupidity. Either way, the food in a place like this is garbage. The witch sneers at his plan to eat with the grandkids, but Yuri fires back. Food tastes better with your best friend. Stunned, the witch rambles about her friend, but the guy's fed up and cuts straight to business. She finally smiles, realizing he's already figured it all out. Salt tracks his moves, and the witch offers protection if he joins her side. She risks offending the knight, but the capital follows its own rules. Yura thinks customs are just a convenient label to hide his selfish habits. He won't pay the gangsters for protection. He's done playing by their rules. He asked for a price. With her grandson's fate on the line, the witch offers 20%. This cash saves his business and pays for his friend's academy. She knows it's a win-win. Yuri's here to protect Milo, and this witch is no longer human. He stops her cold, done with the small talk, and drops a better offer. He kicked back in the chair, crossing his legs. He offered 30 sheets a month, calling it an act of generosity. The witch sinks her claws into the sofa. Her face twisted, calling him straight up insane. Louis de Gros, stay sharp. Trust this house too much and you're finished. Chin in hand, the boy boasts absolute faith in his strength. The witch leans in, declaring his ego will serve as a lesson to others. She flashed a wicked grin, leaned back and clapped twice in pure delight. She says they weren't this rude back then, and there were only two. Yuri and the knight share a look. Outnumbered, they shouldn't provoke the witch. Two bouncers block the door as Soim turns around, hands still behind his back. They were too reckless, and the bandits were itching to strike. A massive beast screams and charges Sue, but he swats it aside with a casual wave. The bandit's fist whiffs. Knight's hand smashes the first guy's nose. He grabs him, twists his arm, and slams him to the ground. The knight glances back as the other man reaches for a hidden dagger. One flick of my hand, and he's out cold. This goofy brawl turned everything into a weapon, even a flower vase. She stares in shock, totally blindsided by that comeback. Minutes later, every thug is out cold and covered in blood. The witch sneered with disdain, but Yuri warned her not to mistake them for street thugs. They're on a completely different level. The House are one of the 5 elite military clans where war isn't just a duty, it's their profession. That's why they outclass witches. Myra sat at the chessboard, hands folded, or so it seemed to him. Princess Carol approaches with a chessboard, asking why he's sitting alone. She wants to play chess with Yuri, but he's been MIA, so she asks Milo for his location. He shouted Yuri's name again, losing his mind. Inside the witch's chaotic living room, Yuri and the witch sit face to face, both completely unfazed. The witch leans back, noting the kid's got guts. Her calmness impressed him. He's intrigued. The witch calls it, talks her over. Yuri won't deal with bandits threatening his grandson's education. Milo's a good guy and a pro. He doesn't deserve this. The witch respects his grit, but talent doesn't matter. She's not paying for his education. He yells they got him into the academy, calling them out for being selfish. No academy degree means no noble title. In this witch family, women rule and men are sidelined. He was barred from the Knight Academy to block his path to the Royal Guard, Evenin. She scowls, snapping that she didn't give him that here. He did this all on his own. Milo sits by Carol and fills her in. She's spiraling. Yuri's with the witches, and why is Milo's grandma paying for his school? She apologized for prying, and the boy brushed it off. He still can't forgive his grandma and regrets ever studying there. He played his grandma to get here. Intrigued, Carol asks to hear the full story from the start. She asks why he's so desperate to join the academy. He shares his life story, starting when his student mom was dating his dad. Born to a witch and a knight, his mother discovered she was pregnant right after they split. Milo realized his mom lied to him. Mom was tiny and everyone noticed. Dad stepped up, marrying her the second he finished school. But the first child never made it. This shamed both families. A 7-witch family heir got pregnant at the academy, sparking a massive scandal. Abandoned and alone, the father lost his nightlife. The witches dumped him, leaving him to wander as his marriage went cold. Fast forward 15 years. Why was he born at that exact moment? His mother ignored him, so his father stepped up to teach him reading and writing. His relatives never expected those losers to have a kid, so they abandoned him. Overjoyed by his firstborn, the father absolutely adored her. Grandma saw Milo's gift, exiled his father, and groomed the boy as heir. But on that very day, Milo reveals his parents were heading to dinner when spear-wielding bandits ambushed their carriage in the dead of night. His father shielded his mother, holding the line against a massive crowd and blocking every strike to stop their advance. Battered and exhausted, he held the line until guards arrived to rescue the family. Critically injured, he relied solely on his son. One night, the father shared life-changing wisdom the boy would never forget. He lived for his knightly honor. To die without a fight would be a disgrace to his noble path. No regrets, the father whispers before his hand falls limp. It's a brutal end, but it teaches the son the true value of life and duty. Milo knew his dad fought those bandits for honor, not just his mom. To a knight, duty is everything. Fail it, and you lose yourself. Crushed by his father's death, he became a shut-in, until his drunk mother stumbled in and said something that changed everything. She screams that the boy isn't his. She'd been cheating, and since her husband is infertile, the kid was just a mistake. Carol watched wide-eyed, terrified by her mother's confession. Milo's beloved father wasn't his real dad, and his mother's confession just shattered his world, turning his entire family history into a lie. He still sees him as his father and won't forgive his mother's betrayal. Anger turns to pure hate as he spills the truth to his grandmother. Grandma says his birth doesn't matter. Forget the dead, focus on the future, get stronger, and carry the family legacy. Milo's reeling from his mother's lies and her betrayal of his father, but his grandma shrugs it off. Family secrets are just distractions from her real mission. He grew to hate his family for choosing status and prestige over real love. Diving into magic's true essence, his doubts grew until he lost all faith in the ancient traditions of his ancestors. By age 10, he'd ditched his family legacy. Feeling like an outsider, he chased his own dreams to claim his freedom. Determined to be like his dad, he forged papers for an evening academy, ditching art school to fulfill his father's final wish. Exam day hits, and he meets Yuri, his future classmate. They bond instantly, but Yuri's no ordinary student. He's from the legendary Hao family. Milo tried using the Yuri family as a shield against witches, but Yuri was too selfless to ever abuse his power. He loved school and his friends, so leaving terrified him. Here, he'd found mentors, goals, and a future worth fighting for. He couldn't burn his grandma's letter, letting Yuri go meet her instead. Carol thanked him for the intel, respecting the courage it took to be honest. Keep the secret buried deep. If the truth gets out, it'll tear the family apart. She tells Milo to chill, explaining Yuri just sees him as a normal classmate with no hidden agendas, just pure friendship built on trust. Carol got serious, weighing her options to protect everyone involved. Post-fight, Yuri meets the lady immediately. Yuri insists Milo picks his own school. No one gets to interfere or force their rules, because freedom is everything when choosing your future. With power like that, he's the kingdom's best guardian. Ignoring him just for being a guy is petty. Suddenly, the woman bursts out laughing. Yuri doesn't see the joke, but Luisita admits their conversation is straight-up weird. She confesses Milo was always a girl. Yuri finally understood Aris's weakness. She defied her grandmother to join the academy, sparking the prejudice against her. But Yuri didn't care about the drama. Luisa saw Yuri's return as a sign of responsibility, but she's cutting his friend's academy tuition immediately. Yuri says he's completely indifferent. If she quits school, he'll have his dad adopt Milo, freeing her from her toxic grandma and the family's legal grip. He was sure Mila would be happy. After wishing Luisa well, he headed out, leaving her alone to think over his arguments. Back at the night academy dorms, he finds his girlfriend standing frozen in the room. She tries to explain, but he cuts her off. He's back. His calm voice instantly kills the tension, making everything cozy again. Yuri tells her the meeting was a success, vowing they'll stay together just like always. They're inseparable now, and nothing will stop them from graduating the academy together. Milo begged for forgiveness, ashamed of the trouble she caused. Carol's hyped to finally play chess after waiting all day, but an embarrassed Yuri can't focus while his stomach is screaming for food. Milo hits the cafeteria to scavenge leftover plates for the guys. She enters the room, spotting fresh rolls on a half-empty table in the center. She awkwardly offered only bread with butter and salt, but Carol loved the simple meal. She reminds them of an old truth. Even the simplest meal tastes better when shared with the people you love. Yuri takes a bite and beams, it's delicious. Carol wants post-dinner chess, but Yuri's not interested. He needs to rest after seeing his mistress. Mid-shift, Yuri gets pulled from the factory floor after a coughing fit. The experiment's a success. They've turned processed animal skin into high-quality paper. Yuri's vision is finally real. Their new tech skips fluff collection, solving the raw material shortage and skyrocketing factory efficiency. Catching a foul stench, the calf scowled and demanded to know why he was there. Yuri apologizes, admitting he just wanted to clean the oil and completely ignored the risks. Calf asks about the strange black liquid. Refine it right, and it becomes a universal material for everything. He double-checked the material list for the new launch, hooked by the potential of a massive tech breakthrough. Yuri needs the substance for Stormbooks, so he recruits senior student Lily to forge tools for the mixture. Scribes write every book here, so Yuri uses otherworldly mimography to launch mass production. This wax paper rejects ink, using metal brushes and rollers to print. It's a crazy tool for this world, but Lily pulled it off. Kelf brags her elite tools and skills saved the day, demanding total gratitude for her vital help. Yuri claims he's paid the master in full, but Kov isn't looking for cash. Lily's swamped with school, but Yuri keeps wasting her time. Kov suggests supporting her to make up for the effort. Iori thanked him, finally learning that respecting his team's roles and working together is the secret to building an unstoppable squad. He thanks her for meeting at the cafe, but sitting face-to-face, he struggles to find the right words. Lily sips hot coffee in her armchair, deep in thought. Yuri thanked her for the help and told her to dig into the treats. He booked a private room for a cozy vibe. Lily offers tea and sweets but warns him there's one big problem. She stops and stares at her boyfriend, questioning if she made the right choice. She shyly suggests they get some privacy, and a flustered Yuri agrees it's the best move. Lily admits it was a joke. Since Shalom and I share a room, it's no big deal. They just spent the day talking math and stargazing. She needed answers, guessing Yuri built something new. He confirmed it, praising her sharp wits. He hoped for a special favor for him and Shama, but Lily told him to wait. She refuses to quit her studies after finishing 4 subjects. School's a grind, and more work will tank her grades. Lily built a printing press to mass-produce books. Yuri calls her irreplaceable, but reminds him she's always there for him. Silence fills the room. The singer admits she can't risk offending the Academy's top star and must obey his terms, leaving him questioning if he's actually that famous. Yuri wants a star navigation device, but the others are totally clueless. To navigate the endless horizon, he reveals a new method, using the stars as landmarks to find their way. Wind pushes ships off course and open water lacks landmarks, but fixed stars and astronomy keep you on track. This almanac kills the complex math. Just check the stars, match the book, and find your way. Yuri tasks Shama with tracking solar events and syzygy alignments, and Shama agrees, knowing total precision is vital. The metal frame was easy, but Lily knew the glass lenses and mirrors required a specialized workshop and custom tools. Surprised by the gift, Yuri shyly admits he noticed her struggling to see and prepared a special surprise to help. A merchant scored these special glasses overseas. The glasses make her eyes pop, but since vision is unique, he'll need to craft custom lenses tailored specifically for her. Yuri tells her to contact the glass factory for custom lenses once production starts. The craftsman will help her get the perfect individual fit. Jim asks for a gift but gets told, next time. Lily's touched, knowing the gift was only for her makes her feel special. She figured he'd missed the small details. Shem asks why Lily's still up. She apologizes, says she just finished her work and is heading to bed. A student brings her a watch for repair. She's swamped with orders since watches are a campus trend, keeping her business booming. Shem loves crafting, but Lily admits she only did it to pay for school and rent. To avoid war, the Amia family crafts watches for the lords to pay their taxes. Forced into the trade since childhood, she knows every mechanism inside out. Lily's family is broke, so she pays her own tuition and struggles to relate to the status-obsessed rich girls. Partnering with Yuri solved her money woes, but cash isn't the goal. She lives for the praise and the joy of knowing her work truly helps people. Sham thinks House is worth a shot, but the neighbor's already been rejected and fears her mom's wrath for even trying. Lilia recalls the girl questioning Yuri's endless work, desperate to know her friend's true motives. Then Sham drops a bombshell. Their country is about to vanish. Yuri didn't know when his time would come, but he knew victory was inevitable. He understood that success only follows those who never stop the grind. Lily thinks Kirtner's protection means they're safe, but the boy reveals the truth. 6 of 9 Shan states are already gone. Kirchner is dying, overrun by refugees and broken soldiers. They must fight or surrender because this battle decides the continent's future. Revolution is the only hope, but powerful conservatives make toppling the old order nearly impossible. Knows the royals are toothless. Even if Carol takes the throne, conservatives will block her reforms, making it all useless. The other generals are too cowardly to rebel, and his family is busy rebuilding their broken army. After that last defeat, they aren't ready for a fight. He warns that between the old guard witches and corrupt elites, the nation is headed for a total meltdown. Lily demanded his strategy and vision. She refused to sit idle and wait for change. Yuri's pushing them to the next level, and this tool is the key. Tech reshapes society, so they're using cutting-edge power to stay ahead. Home's gone. Now it's slavery or the unknown, submit to the enemy or run, a choice that sparks a brutal internal war. Lily knew Yuri was giving his all for his family. He's smart enough to flee this ruin alone, but he's grinding to build a ship and find a safe haven for his family. Lily knew if the Cranes attacked, Carol wouldn't run, and Luke and Dora would stay to fight too. She knew Yuri wouldn't run. He'd stay and fight for his home alongside his people. Lily faces a brutal choice. Stay and risk death against the enemy, or flee and lose her home and family forever. At Night Academy's 7th-year dorm, the teacher announces the winner heads to the Duke University tournament, using dice to pick the first match. Milo vows a shutout, and Yuri's hyped to show the faculty a legendary match. The judge rules. Milo from Goodenville takes the first move. The teacher kicks off a special tournament round, a showdown between best friends to show everyone true skill and respect. Yuri hits 16, just in time for the Night Academy showcase and the university's traditional doubles tournament. Every year, the Night Academy's grand tournament crowns the strongest students, granting them ultimate respect and the title of Elite Knight. The annual tournament pits Night Academy against Art Academy in a high-stakes dookie battle that keeps the crowd on edge. Yuri gave Dory his academy rep spot, but joined the Ducky anyway, proving he's the dorm's best before facing the talented Milo in the finals. Ducky is a Shanqi-inspired strategy game where you cross the river to crush the enemy army. Each side has a king and a royal eagle. The eagle jumps over any piece to snipe the enemy king. Forget shogi traps, this is a direct assault. Yuri plotted a convincing loss to make the fight look fair. He knew throwing the match with a weird move would look fake and expose the fix to the crowd. He plays it safe, sabotaging his position naturally so the crowd thinks his opponent just got lucky. No one suspects he's throwing the match. One mistake means exposure. Stealing his nerves, he makes his move, playing the master to perfection. Shocking everyone, even Yuri, Milo suddenly quits. Despite her massive lead, she officially admits defeat. The judge names Yuriko the winner, leaving him absolutely stunned by the shock victory. Carol praises the game despite being clueless, but her friend suspects Milo rigged every move. Milo accepted fate. Yura won. He confessed he'd lost control and she squeezed his hand. She's hyped for the Grand Castle finals, telling her friend to reach the end and win it all right in front of the queen. Eric sighs, realizing Milo threw the win to match his apathy. But the girl's move reminds him that friendship and duty are never simple. Fighting the academy means facing witches, and his friend is dodging the heat to avoid her family drama. Tomorrow, the 2316th Duke's Academic Tournament kicks off at Vance Castle. Everyone applauds the 16 students chosen to represent the academy at the tournament. Nervous, Yuri scanned the room, reading faces to gauge the mood. Fighters line up alternating by gender. Round 1, Knight Academy versus the Creative Masters of Arts and Sciences. He realized the real trial was starting. It's single elimination, lose once and you're out for good. Round 2 begins and Yuri steps up. Carrying his dorm's reputation, he's locked in and itching to test his strength against new rivals. Yuri How breezes into the semifinals. He's satisfied but bored. So far, no one's been a real challenge. The judge calls it. The second block semifinals are live. Tension is peaking as the finalists clash for the grand prize. Yuri who faces Lilika Kurson. The whistle blows and the game begins. Lily's impressed by his fast reflexes. He explains his dad raised him to be a gentleman who never keeps a lady waiting. Yuri thought he'd lost, but she flipped the script with a bold play. Her pawn stormed the front line, putting his key piece in immediate danger. He's livid. This girl outclasses every weakling he's fought, but he knows Milo is still his ultimate rival. Lilika met Yuri's gaze and calmly admitted defeat, her voice steady and free of any bitterness. She wishes him luck for the finals. The judge crowns Yuriko the winner, and a mysterious voice shouts congratulations. A nervous guy asks Milo if she's been watching, hinting she's been secretly backing the fighters right under everyone's nose. Milo confirms she stayed the whole time just for his final, fueling his drive to crush the match and meet every expectation. Carol congratulated Yuri on the finals, praising his grit. Surprised she came to watch, her support set his fighting spirit ablaze. Yuri finally faces the future queen. She beckons him closer and he kneels, thanking her for the trust. He kisses the princess's hand in deep respect, while a stunned Carol watches with mixed emotions. Shame hits her hard. Face flushing and heart racing, she stares at Yuri, frozen and speechless. She wants to bolt, but her legs are glued to the floor. Confused but brave, she wishes him luck and bolts. He watches her go. He turned to Milo, worried. Did he just ruin his first impression with the princess? His friend laughs, saying Carol just wanted to show support, but the guy's sudden move leaves her rattled and uncomfortable. He froze, realizing he'd messed up in front of a VIP. Panicking, he scrambled for a plan while guilt and doubt crushed him. Carol snickered behind the door, thinking Yuri was way too uptight about manners. Inside the carriage, the friends laugh and swap stories of their past adventures. Milo spots Yuri's semi-final opponent, a generational master with god-tier skills and genius, unpredictable strategies. Yuri wasn't shocked the beast won, but he still claimed his friend was in a league of his own. Milo's praise thrilled the boy, but the girl grew curious, asking if he was being real or just faking it to keep the mood up. Milo shifted gears to tomorrow's final and Yuri's potential opponent. His next opponent is from the Lacrimani's clan, one of the 7 elite witch families. He weighed the facts, matching his strengths against the enemies to predict the coming fight. Yuri recalls Shura's elite status, granddaughter of a famous family head and daughter of a powerful parchment guild leader. Rumors say the young sorceress was unhinged, once dumping rotten fish outside every bookstore in Bor. Shura hires thugs to wreck small traders' goods and harass them out of business. Milo warns Yuri to stay sharp. The finals are at stake, and this noble girl will use every dirty trick to win. Terrified but loyal, she knows he'll win. Her faith fuels his fire, and now he's determined to prove she was right to believe in him. Yuri vowed to win for his friends. With fire in his eyes, he's claiming the title to restore justice and crush the traitors who wronged him. Before the dorms, he hits how to talk work with his crew. He promised a quick visit, and Mila agreed to wait in the carriage for as long as it took. Yuri heads to Telia's table, where a bottle of hard liquor sits waiting. Yuri's worried, Kaf promised to stay sober. Kaf admits he poured a glass but hasn't sipped yet, making Yuri panic. Did something happen? The Kaf roared, blaming the witches for the chaos. He'd seen blood on his workshop doors before, but this was worse. They dumped ink into the river, poisoning his entire production. You spot Yuri's signature crude oil. Guards patrol the workshop, but your friend warns this place is a death trap. Hostile witches are seizing the workshop and their livelihood. The helpless Kaf begs Yuri for a plan to save the shop and survive the fallout. It's the final day of the great tournament. Students and staff scramble to prep the hall, ensuring every detail is perfect for the grand finale. Servants deck the royal thrones in flowers. The jury seats featured hourglasses, symbolizing the time and wisdom needed for justice. Yuri eyed his casual clothes, doubting they'd pass at the formal event. His uniform is too trashed for the ceremony, so the stylist demands formal wear, revealing he's actually highborn nobility. Insisting looks are everything, he shoves the boy into a chair for a total makeover. Yuri nervously asks about the hair product. The stylist tells him to relax, confidently opening the styling oil to work his magic. The student liked his hair and refused any changes, finally settling for a quick trim. Ignoring the client, the master overhauled Yuri's hair, using pro gear to turn a basic cut into a total head turner. Annoyed by his new look, he wanted back to business. He marched to the exit as servants swung the massive oak doors open. Passing the hyped crowd, Yuri realized it was just a school event, but their energy was contagious, and his bad mood vanished. The judge orders him to the finalists' podium, but seeing the queen on her throne, he instantly drops to his knees in respect. Yuri faces the monarchy, the queen and Princess Karia. Princess Carol sits nearby laughing. He's confused by her reaction and that weird hairstyle. Fuming, Yuri heads back, but a high official's voice suddenly rings out, snapping all eyes toward him. She steps up to the royals, her perfect grace and speech instantly proving her noble blood. Yuri finally notices Shura. Noble-born Lacrimanus is so flashy, he jokes she's here to seize the throne. Milo wishes him luck with a look, while Lily asks Shem if he'll support his friend at the tournament. Shem reassures a worried Lily that Yura will win. Lily nods, trusting his power completely. The judge announces the main event, the pair chess finals. It's a best-of-3 showdown, first to win 2 rounds takes it all. She asks the queen for the green light to start the tournament. From her throne, the queen declares the tournament starts now. Yuri's shocked the match is starting. The board is set, and the ref already decided who moves first. The judge declares Shura's first move, Lacrimanus. The ref made a solo call without the players, a rare move that has Yuri spiraling in panic. She smirks after her first move, satisfied with her rigged deal. He knows she bought the judge, but he stays ice cold. The gloomy boy calls his rival a witch of lies. Realizing she won't play fair, she starts trapping and manipulating the entire tournament. Yuri's experience gave him the edge. He spotted her flaws and waited for the perfect opening to strike. The scoreboard flashes the stage 1 results. Shira bites her nail, admitting defeat as the judge crowns Yuri the winner after a massive comeback. He finally understood why he'd advanced. Break S over, the ref calls the next round. Yuri's turning his next match into a spectacle, brewing a plan to win over the fans and critics both technically and emotionally. Lily claims she's Yuri's close friend, while Milo preaches trust and support, instantly bonding the group in total harmony. Lily downplays her shogi skills, but offers to teach her new friend the basics. Yuri's focus tanked after round 2. Was he tired, unprepared, or was she just seeing things? He admits defeat, shocking the crowd. Milo's devastated, she bet everything on him. The judge crowns the round 2 winner. Shura calls a quick break, sending the fighters to the waiting room to prep for the final showdown. Milo wondered why he threw the fight, hoping he'd bounce back and prove his slump was temporary so he could start winning again. She confronts Yuri, demanding to know if he's throwing the match and losing on purpose again. He admits he's throwing the match on purpose. Furious, she demands to know why he's tossing easy wins and risking his tournament spot. Yuri warns the Lacrimanus family controls the kingdom's parchment supply. Crossing them means financial ruin, so they must negotiate instead of fighting. Milo eyed him, wondering if he feared the witch's power. He'd already stood up to her fierce grandma, so this wasn't just about money. She knew the odds were even and his skills would keep him in the game. Yuri calls the tournament a joke compared to his real goals. He's no hero, he only fights for himself, not for others. Milo knew the tournament didn't matter, but failing her friend changed her perspective on these games forever. Sick of her past, she flips the script to crush her goals. Yuri listens and comforts her with kind words. She was his constant support, and he truly valued her, but he wasn't the man she wanted. He realized she didn't want a yes-man who just followed her lead. Wait, the prompt says 1 line in equals 1 line out. Milo confirms the news and Yuri relaxes, but a familiar voice suddenly. The maid snaps that he's trespassing, but Kaf just thanks her for the tip and says he's looking for Yuri. His friend sprints over panicked. After catching his breath, he reveals the chaos unfolding outside the palace. The tournament was peaking, but Kef's news was too urgent to wait. Hidden nearby, Milo overheard and knew he had to act now. Yuri ordered his crew to follow his plan exactly. They agreed but worried, yet Yuri calmly insisted he had everything under control. The final match is here. The crowd goes silent as the ref starts Game 3. It's winner-take-all, and both players are locked in to give it everything they've got. Shuri goes first. Lacrimanus signals and the duel begins. Both sides freeze, waiting for an opening while the crowd watches every move like the world's at stake. The judges call stuns Lily. Yuri usually moves first, and this sudden rule break leaves her spiraling with doubt. She searched for answers behind her friend's silence, her mind racing with theories. The opponent strikes first, starting the finale. Yuri watches closely, calculating his counter. Worried something happened, she checks on him, but he insists he's fine. She tells Yuri to focus on his shop. How? Shura mockingly warns him. Disaster is coming, and he'll need fast, creative thinking to survive. She tells him to imagine a fire gutting his store, destroying his stock and costing a fortune to rebuild. With his business on the line, things were getting messy. He frowned at the chaos but kept a cool head, knowing he needed a perfect plan. The crowd holds their breath, tracking every move on the board. This final battle is unpredictable, and the tension is electric. Carol spirals, picturing Yuri's workshop in flames. With no news coming in, her fear for him and his work hits a fever pitch. Realizing Shura's claims were total lies, she hunts for the truth to expose her motives and restore peace. The princess leaps up, demanding the tournament stop, but the queen tells her to look closer before acting. Mom tells her daughter to back off. Her constant advice is killing her friends' focus and tanking their win rate. Stop interfering and just believe in her. Frustrated and exhausted, he sighed as his future hung by a thread. 4 buildings burned with 0 casualties, but a worried Shura demands to know if it's true. His rival went personal in public just to trash his reputation. Stunned by the cheap shot, he felt nothing but irritation and disappointment. Shura denies everything, calling it all Aparnia's imagination. She leans back and goes silent, conversation over. Yuri admits there's no proof and refuses to talk. The details stay buried until the truth is revealed. He blamed her for everything. Her constant provocations killed her reputation, turning everyone against her as a shady rival. Yuri threw the second game to hand her the championship. He planned to use the local witches to stall, but he refuses to help workshop burners. He trashed his rival as a fraud who deserves nothing, calling her dirty wins worthless and pathetic. Yuri's insults ignite Shura's rage. She bites her lip, eyes blazing with hate and despair as her forced silence only fuels the fire. She suppressed her feelings and pleaded for justice while he watched like a hawk, ready to fight. Tension peaked as the room awaited the final verdict. The judge warns Yuri to behave, slashing his decision time as punishment. He laughs off the penalty, mocking Shura for thinking the time limit would save her. Shura fumes, realizing her tricks failed. Yuri takes the bait, declaring he's done with her games. His confidence hooks the crowd and judges, spiking the tension as all eyes lock onto the stage. Stepping forward, he vows to exploit every opening. Lose, and she'll look like a pathetic, cowardly mess. He yells that tricks won't save her. Sensing the massive power gap, she realizes only a miracle can stop her defeat. Shura's confused, but her pieces are already vanishing. Yura strikes fast, shredding her defense and closing in on the win. Sweat pours as she fights to save her pieces, but every shaky move drags her closer to defeat. Shura's finished. One last desperate move fails as time runs out. Yuri's defense is an unbreakable wall, locking down every vital spot. She froze, an invisible spear at her throat. Her world shrank to a cage of pure horror as she waited for the inevitable end. Realizing she'd lost, she conceded. The crowd roared, welcoming the tournament's new star. Shura orders her to a private room for her match behavior, and punishment is on the table. An attendant leads her to the meeting room. She hesitated but obeyed, realizing the meeting was now unavoidable. Yuri sighed as his massive achievement sank in. The crushing weight vanished, his body relaxed, and peace finally returned. Carol snaps, demanding he act normal after causing yet another massive scene. Yuri knew it was hopeless. Some disasters spiral instantly. He calmed his friend, the past is dead, and only their next move matters. She calls him a show-off, but admits he won. She sounds salty, but deep down, she's proud of her friend. Carol shook Yuri's hand, praising his strategy and hailing his massive potential. Yuri knelt dramatically and kissed the princess's hand. The crowd erupts in cheers as deafening applause fills the hall, drowning out everything else. The guy bolted from his seat and hit the street, ignoring the cheering crowd and official greetings. Yuri enters the palace, and a familiar voice calls his name. Milo nods toward the majestic bird waiting for its master. Yuri turns and thanks the girl for the clutch save. Milo hesitated, clearly holding back something major. She bows and whispers an apology. She didn't consider the consequences and now deeply regrets her mistake. Yuri hugs her, whispering that he doesn't blame her. Mistakes happen, but he's not mad. He'll always have her back because their friendship comes first. He vaults onto the massive bird, gripping the saddle tight. Yuri thanked Milo with a smile and headed out, certain of his choice. The boy spins around as a man charges, screaming for them to wait for her, his voice echoing across the palace square. Out of breath, Lily asks Yuri if he's heading to the workshop. She shyly asks to tag along to the workshop. Lily's art is in the studio, and she needs to check the fire damage. He nodded, and they headed out to survey the damage and get to work. Yuri tells Lilia to grab her coat. They're in a rush. The crew rushes to the workshop to find total devastation. Their gear is gone, leaving nothing but ash and ruins. Milo watched her friends vanish into the distance, feeling a hollow sadness as silence took over. Workers scream for everyone to clear out before the crumbling building buries them. Wall debris loomed overhead, ready to crush the crowd as panic sent everyone scrambling for their lives. The firefighter warns his partner, "The blaze is too dangerous. Grab the gear and get out now while we still can." Yuri arrives and starts the fire inspection immediately, the first step to planning their restoration. Lily watched in horror as her precious instruments were destroyed. Losing them meant starting from zero, and the despair was crushing. Screaming in rage, she lunges at the witches who started the fire, cursing anyone who dares hurt the cause. CAF apologized for the slow response, but Yuri was devastated. The delay had cost him everything. He sighs, admitting the watermill workshop burned to the ground, taking every tool with it. Buildings and tools are replaceable, but lives aren't. Yuri makes it clear, worker safety is the only priority. Lily knew they were right, but losing her handmade tools cut deep. She could handle losing someone else's gear, but her own creations, that was unbearable. The loss was massive, but her team survived. Knowing they were safe gave her the strength to keep fighting. Koff watches his friend march into the scorched building. Panicked, he screams for him to turn back. A loud crack echoes as the building buckles. It's coming down and his friend panics. Yuri is still trapped inside. Frozen in terror, the group watched wide-eyed as the building crumbled, praying for a miracle while their hearts hammered. Kaf screams for Yuri through the chaos, using his last ounce of strength. Drenched in sweat, he scans the rubble, desperate for any sign the boy survived. A friend spots him emerging from the smoke, soot-covered and clutching the lost folder to his chest. Kef didn't get Yuri's reckless risk until he heard the truth. One apology later, their bond crushed fear, proving teamwork is the only way to survive. He hands Lily the folder, fingers shaking from the stress as her eyes fill with pure admiration. Yuri made this just for them, her debut work, Tsukigata. Lily's custom gear was their emergency backup, but the fire torched most of the stash. Yuri's relieved, at least one device survived. Lily shoves Yuri, calling him a fool for risking his life over a tool. She's desperate to save her husband from his own recklessness. She's furious but respects his guts. He saved her handmade instrument, so she thanks him despite her inner turmoil. CAF pats Yuri's shoulder. The prototype is ready, production restarts, and past success fuels their future. A friend backs Taurus, announcing a new workshop in a disaster-proof fortress safe from villains, complete with a brand new water mill. Lily steps up to rebuild the workshop, driven by duty and ready to give her all for the team. She dreamed of joining the How Company, rebuilding the workshop, and using her skills to grow a business she could be proud of. The crew welcomed Lilia, stoked she joined the team. Spirits are high as they joke she should stay forever. Yuri soars through the sky on a royal eagle, its massive wings shredding clouds as the sun glints off its feathers. He tells the workers to prep for landing as the giant eagle descends. Massive claws hit the dirt, ending the wild flight. Yuri rips off his helmet, the fresh air hitting his face. Fatigue turns to pride as he returns home. Gear off, he can finally rest. He promised to return soon, leaving his Royal Eagle star dust to recover. He thanks his friend as they part ways. Their paths are splitting, but their bond remains unbreakable. 6 months after the tournament fire, a new witch-free workshop opens on Go Land. Yuri inspects the site and heads straight for Swami's port. Harold's trade hub with Albion boomed instantly, evolving into a powerhouse for shipbuilding and master crafts. With the cultist Lily finally physical, Yuri hits Suomi to find a ship tough enough for the open sea. He spots a body on the stone pier. Leaning in, he hears a faint, exhausted mumble. The stranger whispered a cryptic chant. "Return the sea to the sea and the mountains to the mountains." He sighed, warning that failing meant losing the path to Jofa forever. Yuri identifies the text as ancient Atuski horror script. Judging by his accent, this man is definitely no Curin. He draws his knife, demanding the stranger's name and business. The sun glints off the steel, he's dead serious. Shocked to see Harold in person, the boy inspects his messy look and demands to know why he's here. Gerald admits it's been an eternity. Reunited at last, they're awkward but glad to be back together. Yuri finds him collapsed on the dock, but his friend warns him to stay quiet. It's way more complicated than it looks. Peril begged for space to clear his head, but his worried friend pushed him to join, promising to have his back. The group hits a portside bar. Yuri wants to drink their troubles away and even offers to foot the entire bill. Gerald orders steak and dried meat, but a nearby stranger suddenly offers to cover the bill. Yuri demanded to know what ruined his friend, desperate to understand the despair behind his old companion's broken eyes. Harold pauses, then recounts the brutal months that broke him, explaining how a powerhouse became this shell of a man. Crying, the boy explains their boat splintered, tossing everyone into the sea. Yuri suspects a mutiny or a shipwreck left them for dead. Sailing blind was a mistake. When food ran out, the crew tossed the leaders overboard. How'd they survive? His buddy reveals a single spear was their only lifeline. If Garrel's alive, the old man knew the way. Their boat never landed. It's a ghost ship drifting with a stash of weapons. He joked Harold deserved a girl as a reward, but warned that Natusian custom strictly forbids using women for mere entertainment. He blew his life savings on boat gear and hit rock bottom. Broke and alone, he lost all confidence, terrified that total failure was now inevitable. Yuri's impressed by his ironclad faith. Suddenly, the waitress returns and apologizes for the long wait. The guy suggests they eat, drink, and forget their troubles, but Harold snaps back when he tries to take the food, claiming nobody touches his meal without permission. Drunk and exhausted, Gerald passed out cold. The night ended weirdly, but it gave them a fresh start to reconnect and finally support each other. Clearing the table, the waitress spots the sleeping client and sympathetically tips off Yuri. Yuri apologizes to the girl, leaving the exhausted Harold to sleep until morning rather than waking him. He draws a hidden knife, making the waitress freeze as the steel glints under the lamp and tension skyrockets. Yuri reassures his girl he just wants her looking good. The broom and dustpan request is weird, but the employee gets it instantly. The guy and waitress beamed at their handiwork. The staff checks in, but Yuri brushes it off, joking that Harold's new haircut looks great. He took charge, making the waitress promise to check on his friend tomorrow morning. She agreed. Yuri grins at Harold's goofy new hair. It actually looks good, but a baffled Harold has no clue how it changed overnight. He warned, ruin his look and you pay. He'll tear the culprit to pieces on sight with zero mercy. Yuri calms his friend, explaining the chaos was just a freak accident. Everyone's safe, the danger's gone, and the whole mess is now just a funny story. He was genuinely happy for his friend, but stopped him for a quick word. Harold begs for a loan, but Yuri's shocked. He's already dropping his cash on a brand new ship. He wanted emergency cash for a shipwreck, but his partner insisted they sail together, claiming he was an Albio Island veteran. Yuri leans in, asking what makes his friend a reliable assistant. He waits, testing the guy's skills. The kid can't trust a drunk sailor to steer, but the ship's new tech tracks their location perfectly. Royals have secret escape tech for emergencies, but if he leaks it while drunk, it's over. The Care will steal it and terrorize the lands they just fled. Harold was a veteran sailor, but he knew he wasn't ready to take this person on board. Success demands secrecy. He forced his team to follow strict rules, knowing it was the only way to stay safe and keep their secret hidden. Yuri vowed to destroy anyone who leaked the secret. Dead serious, he turned to Harold and demanded his silence. Before the capital trip, he hands his friend some silver, proving he still respects him despite their differences. He told Harold to envision his future, knowing this choice would define his career and happiness. Days later, at the Night Academy's 7th-year dorms, Yuri hears Harold is waiting at the dorm entrance to see him. Hearing the news, Yuri promised to step out. He wondered why his friend tracked him down, but he was ready for anything, prepared to listen and make a smart call. A boy greets the guest as Harold tips his cap, apologizes for his behavior, and declares he's joining Yuri's crew as a sailor. Yuri spotted a suspicious kid watching the entrance and asked how he was linked to Harold's request to join. Gerald introduces 16-year-old Hora Benjamin, already a master navigator. Despite his youth, Gory Benjamin was recommended by a fallen comrade everyone trusted. Yuri lets Harold and Hori join the expedition, but warns, zero trust. They must prove their worth to earn their spot and the captain's respect. He demands an ironclad oath. swear on Master Issa's memory, a ritual that binds them all to their word. Issa welcomes Yuri and Harold, then Gora Baniam steps in to greet the new recruit. The teacher moved the talk to a private room, clearly impressed by Harold, but he immediately shut her down. She smiles, calling him handsome and friendly. He blushes instantly, trying to hide his face. ESA learns guests have arrived for a vow ceremony to prove their loyalty. The rules are strict, and there's zero room for error. Etusian oath rites require a priest. He doesn't represent the gods, he's just there as a formal witness to the agreement. Break this vow, and you offend God. The teacher stares Harold down, making sure the gravity of her words sinks in. He accepts the oath's weight. Issa watches him closely, offering to break down their new duties in detail. Yuri asks the teacher if he should spill every detail. She needs total honesty or the ritual fails. Like a priest in confession, your secrets stay safe, even if it breaks the rules. Yuri and Harold knew she was right. Secrets would ruin the ritual, so they chose to be honest and trust her. Issa thanked the students for their honesty, confirming she'd reviewed their promises and stressing the weight of their path. She starts the ritual immediately. She pulls the ritual glass from her nightstand, lamp light glinting off its pure surface. She fills the glass, the water shimmering with a faint silver glow. Prep complete, Issa hands Garrel the blessed water, telling him this first sip binds him to his every promise. He grabs the glass, takes a breath, and downs it all in one gulp. Asa declares consecrated lips can't lie, so Patella Harold swears a solemn oath to only speak the truth. Garrel swears loyalty to Yuri Hao, vowing to keep his secrets and never use these methods once he leaves. Order head Kosalinki Vachita demands he confirm the oath. Breaking this vow betrays yourself and God. It's a moral crime punished in this life and the next. Break this oath, and your reputation is history. Harold knew the stakes, took the oath, and pledged total loyalty to the Lord and his laws. Issa listened, satisfied, and declared heaven heard and approved his words. She shouted hallelujah, loving every second of the ceremony. Issa thanks Sir for his ritual work. This rare praise proves Sir is a total pro. She confronted Gerald, reminding him of his oath, betray his duty and he'll pay the price. The rules are absolute. Yuri asks point blank, what's the punishment for breaking the oath? Issa swears death if she breaks the oath. The crowd freezes, realizing they've just signed a deadly pact. Dead silence. Yuri demands the truth, and she confesses. If Harold fails, she's exiled to the forest for a month of water and meditation, a vow to ensure students keep their word. Issa confirms it's mandatory. Knowing Kosarik history, he's shocked these strict rules still exist today. Kosarik reps pay fines to dodge beatings, but she sticks to the old ways to build discipline. Harold rejects the condition to protect the manager, demanding they scrap the old deal and start fresh. He's cut off mid-sentence, as the teacher's stern voice shuts down the disruption. She was certain, forget the consequences. Make a promise and stick to your word. Issa glares, demanding to know if he planned to break his vows from the start. She warns him, betrayal like this earns the ultimate penalty. Harold denies the claims, swearing he's sincere. Yuri watches, noting that even teachers hate being ignored. Issa accepts his decision, but on one condition. He must never tell anyone he refused the ritual. Harold got the message, promising to follow orders and keep his mouth shut. Ritual's over. The guys ditch the cramped building, letting fresh air melt their stress away. Yuri drags Lady Isu into the mess, forcing a clueless Errol into a complex ritual where he must finally follow tradition and make a serious choice. Yuri was baffled. An oath is empty without knowledge, and since navigation is the key to survival, this voyage is a death sentence. Harold cuts in, shutting his friend down. He keeps his promises because he's a man of his word. Yuri loved his partner's confidence and showed him absolute trust. He needed Gora, their third man. His skills were the key to the mission. Yuri offers to teach the crew high-tech navigation. They accept instantly, knowing it's their best shot at success. A month later, he rents a ship in Swami on Harold's advice. Realizing renting is just a temporary fix, he heads to Albion to buy a high-tech vessel of his own. Yuri vows to settle things with his friend later, owning his mistakes and taking full responsibility for the job. Gerald doubled down on the captain's orders, swearing he won't return until he's mastered every instrument. Talk about dedication. Sails unfurled, the ship charges into the wind toward a new adventure. The wait is over, the crew finally sets sail. Yuri stared out, realizing it had been years since he'd seen this. It was exactly what his grandfather used to do. The old man admits he's just an economist, but points to the physics principle of uncertainty. You can't track every particle perfectly, making a 100% accurate view of the world impossible. If subatomic particles are a blur, matter can't be studied accurately, and economics is no different. Grandpa built a model that perfectly tracks how society moves and grows. People power the economy, but everyone is one of a kind. He explains that tracking a crowd requires understanding every individual, then asks Yuri if it's even possible. Years together and she's still a mystery, proof you can never truly know someone. Grandpa tells him to toss it. He couldn't even understand his wife, let alone 8 billion people. He realized his failure as a scientist, chasing a mystery beyond human reach. Those were the last words Yuri ever heard. Later, he met his grandmother's fate. He realized it had been ages since his grandpa visited his dreams. She eyed him closely, demanding to know exactly what he meant about his grandfather. His eyes widen as their faces close in. Tension spikes, fueled by nerves and curiosity. Yuri screams from the heart, his voice echoing with the raw hype and anxiety seizing him. He admitted Korea's sudden appearance terrified him. He notices she's been tailing him and tells her to back off. Carrie's been watching him for 30 minutes. Yuri's stunned. Royals are never this free, but she's just bored and waiting to ask him on a date. Shocked by her carefree vibe, he asks if she pulled anything while he slept. She snaps back, she's not that stupid. Yuri apologizes and cuts the chat. He's got to eat and get back to work. Kurt invited her to dinner since they share a dorm like her sister, but she couldn't understand his sudden hesitation. She's jealous of Yuri's sister, but he can't take her along without permission. He bolts off the field, shouting they'll meet again. Carrie tells him to wait. Yuri realizes Grandpa was right. He's terrible at reading people. Suomi opened new trade routes to foreign merchants, flooding the port with goods and turning the city into an economic powerhouse.